What's going on, guys? It's Logan. It's EJ. Welcome to SwampCast, baby. We are here. College football playoff quarterfinal week. Final week of all the bowl games for the 2024 to 2025 college football season. One hell of a ride. And it's been a fun past week, man. Obviously, the Gators did not play the past week, but it's funny, out of all the talk about how, all these bowl games are irrelevant, you know what I mean? They're just not worth anything, they're worthless. There's been some fun bowl games, man. I mean, close games. There's been a couple blowouts, but we've had so many overtime. We've had more overtimes this bowl season than any bowl season ever. We're talking 5-6 overtimes, setting records, which is crazy, all over the place. EJ's in Hawaii. We had the Pop-Tarts on the field in Orlando. It's been crazy. So we're gonna kind of get you guys up to date on all of that. Before we do, EJ, how have you been, man? You took the trip to Hawaii. You're back now. How you doing, man?
Doing great. Good to see you, Logan. Good to see everybody. Hawaii. Never been to Hawaii, but here's the one joke I'll tell about Hawaii. So I tell everybody I'm going to the Hawaii Bowl. I'm going to Hawaii. They say, "Oh, great. What island?" And I'm like, Hawaii. And they're like, "No, idiot. There's like more than one island." And so I'm like, "Oh shit, let me look it up." So it's we went to Oahu, where the island where Honolulu, and we stayed on Waikiki Beach. So it was great.
Oh, wow. Yeah, that's gorgeous.
Yeah, it was gorgeous. And the Hawaii Bowl typically is played at Aloha Stadium, but the last couple of years it's been played at the campus stadium at the University of Hawaii, which is a little bit smaller. But it was still a great experience for all of us. Second straight year, San Jose State has played in the Hawaii Bowl. So that's interesting. Usually they try to pick a different team. And my nephew got to play. He plays for University of South Florida, number 22, Deshaun Rucker. Did a great job. They called him for pass interference on a play.
I saw that.
I was like, well, at least you got your money's worth on the flag there.
Right.
Because sometimes you don't even touch the guy. They call you for pass interference. So, hey, got your money's worth, and crazy game. I'm like, is this thing going to end? We got a freaking luau to go to. So, so it was great.
yeah, that was a really fun game to watch, man. Another overtime game. It was unreal. We had a lot of really good games like that. Oh, and EJ is gonna be back here in a second. But yeah, that was a really fun game to watch. Watch that with the fam. Always exciting. And I'm sure San Jose State, they do not mind playing in the Hawaii Bowl 2 years in a row, dude. Going out to Hawaii and just being able to play football out there, come on, can't beat that. While having a good time, but yeah. So glad you had a good time, man. I did not go. Usually, I go to one bowl game every year in Orlando. I know that there's the other bowl game at the Camping World Stadium, which is near me, and it's the South Carolina game in Illinois, I believe. So I might go to that one.
Okay.
Yeah, I know that one's in a few days. 2 days, I think. So I might swing by there, some last minute cheap tickets, because dude, you can find tickets last minute for $35-$40. So I might go to that one. Was gonna go to the Pop-Tart Bowl, which I'm so glad it's getting national attention. I went to the Pop-Tart Bowl last year, which was I believe it was oh my god, I think it was North Carolina State and Kansas State, I think is the game I went to. It was the Pop-Tart Bowl. And, bro, just watching those guys on the sideline, the Pop-Tarts run around, dude, and just, they mess with the refs the whole game. They throw Pop-Tarts into the stands, just they pelt them. They don't even toss them, bro. They aim for people's faces. It's great. And they continue the story this year of the Strawberry Pop-Tart, R.I.P., or as we thought he was R.I.P., but apparently he's Jesus now. He came, he's risen, and he came back to this game. And yeah, it's great. So the whole storyline, they have whole lore now with this bowl game, and I'm glad people are saying, hey, let's make this a college football playoff bowl game. And I think it should, man. It's something, it has to be one of the Final Four games. I think everyone agrees with that. Camping World Stadium, they're about to make some severe renovations to it within the next few years. So I think they're going to add some more seats and stuff. I say screw it, man. let's make this a college football playoff bowl game, dude, because the lore and everything is so great. They end it every year by lowering a Pop Tart into the toaster and then pops out an actual edible version of that Pop Tart. It's great, dude. It's awesome. So we'll be talking about that, of course, later on. But yeah, when it comes to news, oh, by the way, I also got a puppy for Christmas, so that's kind of crazy.
Oh, I
Um,
saw that.
yeah, man,
Oh,
he's in his own world. He's half cur dog, half pug. He yeah, he's a lot.
oh.
We've always saved dogs our whole life. We've never like rescued them and stuff, but we never raised a puppy into a full sized doggo. So this is all new for me and all of us. And my parents were like, "Yep, you're taking care of him." I'm like, "Great, cool, love that." So yeah, he's just a ball of energy, man. You know, a great dog. So he's fun outside right now, but he might make an appearance one of these weeks once he gets potty trained. We're working on that.
Yes.
Uh, but yeah. So news with the Florida Gators. Not much going on. EJ was telling me how there's some contract negotiations that have to take place with some of our assistant coaches. Which good news that Austin Armstrong is gone, because that frees up a lot of money, because you have guys like our running back coach and a couple others that are going to have opportunities to leave and are going to be offered to leave 100%. So we need to keep those guys here, like EJ mentioned before the podcast. So that's going to be major, especially with this year. Like, I think Billy Napier, and we talked about this in the last episode, but I think Scott Strickland and Billy Napier both circled 2025 to be the season for Billy Napier's Florida Gators. And especially with seeing how DJ has broke out, how we've seen how these assistant coaches have been doing really well, and how we've ended the past 4 games. You The expectations are insanely high now. I think Billy Napier has expectations for himself for this year, like I mentioned with Scott Strickland, and I feel like now the fan base is like, hey, if we don't at least get 10 wins this season, I think people are going to be really pissed, and rightfully so. We have one of the most talented rosters in the country that's just getting more and more talented with each and every cycle. We have some of the best assistant coaches in the country, some of the best groups in the country with position groups, and one of the best quarterbacks in the country. So I think you got to look at that, and we have one of the best NIL groups, so we'll see. This upcoming year is going to really show us a lot about Billy Napier, show us a lot about this organization, and because we know the fans are going to do their part. I mean, dude, we sold out 11 consecutive games when we were like at the lowest point of our fan base that I can possibly remember. So that in of itself was unreal, and huge for the fan base and the Florida Gators. But yeah, so not much really going on though. In the Gator world, except for the Under Armour All-American Bowl that just got announced, and all the rosters and the depth charts for that. The Gators have 7 commits and signees that are participating in that bowl. It is the most of. We have 7 players, the most of any school in the country. And I'm just gonna read through some of the guys that are going to be playing in that game. 5-star wide receiver Dallas Wilson, who just obviously got let loose from Oregon. 4-star wide receiver Nashawn Montgomery, another monster. 5-star receiver Vernell Brown III. 4-star linebacker Ty Jackson, love that guy, should be a 5-star. 4-star defensive lineman Jalen Wiggins. 4-star quarterback Will Griffin, he's 2026 class. And then 4-star running back Brian Lewis. So good news is like, hey, we need a defensive lineman. We have a 4-star playing in the All-American Bowl. We need obviously some help in the linebacker group now that Shamar James is gone. And look, we have Ty Jackson and that other linebacker coming in as well. We have another running back added to this monster group that we already have with the Gators. So it's looking good. And we have like I said, 3 5-star receivers in this game, which is insane that they're in the same class. So EJ, how do you feel about that, man?
Man, I love it. It's been a while since we've had like players in these games. Usually it's like, oh, this guy's going to Alabama, this guy's going to Ohio State. And it's like, well, damn, like we're not gonna have a chance to like do anything against these guys. Now you got 7 play. We have the most players in Under Armour All American. We should be let's do a toast this morning. It's kind of cloudy out here. Usually it's sunny, but we
It's
should do a
cloudy out here
toast.
too.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
And the thing that makes it better is that we've got a few guys on the defensive side of the ball. One of the things that has been kind of our, I want to say like our, um, what's the word for not downfall, but kind of like one of the things that's,
Demise.
yeah, demise is we haven't had like that dog on defense. Like, because you remember, like back in the day, we'd have like, oh, Matt Elam is gonna just freaking destroy anybody that goes over there, or you had like Sharif Floyd on the D line, or you had who's that D end? I actually really liked number 90. I forgot his name. It'll come back to me. But we had these guys that you just knew they were going to cause the other team to have to scheme around them. Like they literally had to call an offense because they knew that this guy was going to blow up half your playbook. We haven't had a guy like that in the last couple of years. Toward the end of this year, we saw Caleb Banks, Cam Jackson, Tyreek Sapp, and our boy George Gums start to become those guys that people are like, oh, wait a minute, like this guy is actually destroying us. Like we need to like do another play. It's really hard, and it gets me back to thinking a long time ago, was it Steve Spurrier? It was, I think it might have been Steve Spurrier. He kind of ingrained this into me. He was like, it's harder to play defense as a freshman than it is offense because defense, you don't really know. You have to learn multiple playbooks on defense. You have to learn the playbook essentially of every opponent and the scheme to how it's going to affect that different opponent is different week to week. And it's a lot for a true freshman because usually in high school you just go out there, okay, we're running a 3-4, running a 3-3-5. You just stay here and you're going to do that all season and you just make plays if you're really good. But in college, you're now actually scheming to the opponent. You've got to like, where am I supposed to be? Who am I supposed to be defending on this play? Are we in zone? Are we in man? Do we show zone? And then we are actually playing man. It's a lot more complex in college, especially in the SEC, for a defensive player than it is on offense. And if you don't have a great player to start, you're going to struggle. And we've seen that from our team the last few years. Also, what's difficult on defense is the physicality, right? You got to be big, you got to be strong in the SEC. And a lot of times when you're a true freshman in high school, you don't have the nutrition program that you're going to get at in the SEC. You don't have the weight room that you have in the you don't have you don't have a strength and conditioning coach in high school. Maybe you do, but it's not nearly the same. They don't put you through a program like they do. And it takes a good 12 to 18 months after you get on campus for your body to start to look like a college football player, right? For you to be as that to get that physical, those physical attributes. And so those are the setbacks on defense. It takes some a little bit more experience, but I'm really happy to see that we've got some guys that can come in and start to play really well, like Ty Jackson. I think he was committed to Penn State for a while.
No, it was USC.
USC. Okay,
Yep.
yeah, he looks in. He looks like who is that? Gosh, we had a linebacker who was just like beast mode. Not Brandon Spikes, but I want to say like Adam Morrison. I don't know if
Oh
anybody remembers.
yeah, Morrison. Yeah, number 2, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He kind of reminds me of him, like, and Adam Morrison. It took him a while to get like fast and physical, even though he destroyed EJ Manuel on that one play. And EJ Manuel hates the Gators because he got absolutely destroyed on that play.
Oh yeah.
Lost his helmet. But yeah, we're just really excited to see these guys. Nashawn Montgomery, Vernell Brown, the two wide receivers. I'm really excited to see those guys. as well as Dallas Wilson, and then I believe we had Jalen Wiggins, another defensive tackle. So I'm interested. I'm happy to excited to see him play. I hope he gets out there and clobber someone. So yeah, man, we're really excited to see our Under Armour freshman class coming in here.
You made a good point about physicality, something that the Gators have not lived up to, like those teams that you talked about. You know what I mean? Even back, you can go back to 2016. That's not long ago at all. What is that? 8 years. And I mean, those teams literally were carried by the defense, right? And it just seems like once Mullen got in it, we became more offensive of focused. It just that physicality of the defense. We instead of being the Florida Gators, we just looked like one of those mid-tier SEC defenses, and
Yep.
like that's what was really weird to me. Like you were talking about Morrison, Spikes, Alex Anzalone, like all these guys, they were aggressive, they were dirty. Those safeties that were flying around the field, Matt Elam, Reggie Nelson, like these guys were them. And you, like you mentioned, you have to know where they are every single play because you go, hey, I don't want to run to that guy, or hey, I don't want to throw on this side of the field because this can be picked
Right.
off. So I agree. We need to get that aggression back. And that's something that I really liked Austin Armstrong for is he brought that aggressiveness, that energy. And that is one thing that I really liked. So hopefully Ron Roberts can. It seems like we're getting a little bit of that back. So hopefully Ron Roberts can make even a bigger stride with these true freshmen and just show that grit. You know what I mean? Want to take off the opponent's head every single play, dude. Just you want to come after them. Like sometimes you don't even want to worry about where the ball is. You just want to beat that guy across from you, right? And just blow it up, just to set the tone early on. And that's what I want to see out of this Gator team. So we will see if these guys are able to do that, which I have faith that they will. But yeah, other than that though, not a lot of Gator news. EJ, I think I had everything right. Nothing else that you think is going on.
Yeah, we had a couple guys announced for the NFL. No one really expected other than or unexpected, except for Shamar James, the linebacker. He had the option to come back, but he's at a point where he could definitely go to the NFL and get selected and make a lot of money. So we've just got to replace him. Ty Jackson, are you listening to that? You got to get out there and take somebody's freaking head off in the Under Armour game. Um, but back to the coaches. So we've got I think five coaches up for renewal. Rob Sale, the co-offensive coordinator. So these contracts expire January 31st. So like a month from now.
Mm.
Jabbar Jalouk, our running back coach, who like won an award for assistant coach of the year or something like that. So he's definitely needs to get renewed and or upgraded to a higher level, even though he should probably stick with the running backs because I mean he does such
Yeah.
a great job. But maybe like an elevated role because the guy obviously knows what the heck he's talking about and how to quickly develop players. I also think when you look at Rob Sale, I think Rob Sale's done a pretty good little job with the offensive line this year. Tyler Miles, the strength and conditioning coach, he's up for renewal, so we'll see if we continue to keep him. I actually didn't. I'd love to hear your thought on that, Logan. I mean, I think our strength and conditioning was pretty good. I mean, it started off like, what the hell are we? Do we practice? Do we lift weights? Like against Miami, it looked like we looked like a middle school team. We looked like a pop. We looked like the Pop Tart team. Like we looked like Pop Tart mascots out there just getting eaten alive on the line of scrimmage. And I'm like, okay, what the hell is this? And now all of a sudden you play Ole Miss 10 games later and it's the exact opposite. You're out there eating them alive. So so maybe it just took them a while, a few games. I don't know, but Tyler Miles, I thought deserves, to be retained, and obviously Billy Gonzalez. That's the big name up for renewal. Our wide receivers coach. He's incredible. He's obviously an incredible recruiter. Okay, I mean look at the people we've got at wide receiver,
hmm
and he's a great developer of talent and immediately knows and works with Billy Napier on this since Billy Napier is kind of like the offensive coordinator de facto, who can run what type of scheme that we need. to be successful. So I honestly think you should retain all these guys. Now, Mike Peterson is our defensive ends and like outside linebackers coach. He was a former really great linebacker. He played for Coach Spurrier. He's also up for renewal. I'm pretty sure he's probably going to get renewed. But yeah, that's interesting to see what happens with all these guys.
Yeah, like yeah, I agree. I mean, Billy Gonzalez is incredible. And I mean, obviously was with us during the Mullen era too. And look at all the great guys that are in the NFL from
Oh
that,
yeah.
you know. So like this dude develops. I don't know why you wouldn't want to come and play under him. Yeah, I agree with all the other ones. I mean, strength and conditioning. Yeah, we were aggressive. I like that. We seemed physical. The injuries were a little consistent this year, though.
Yeah, injuries.
You know,
Yeah.
it's like I don't know. Could those have been avoided with a little bit? There was also a lot of non-contact injuries. So I don't know. You know, I mean, look, I just go off what people say. I don't know how much of the strength and conditioning does revolve around that. Obviously, it does to an extent. But I don't know how. You know, if we had a great strength and conditioning coach, is like, would those of injuries happened? I feel like it's really not fair to say yes or no. You know, so it's just like, yeah, I agree. I think you keep them all. You know, if they don't ask for anything crazy. But the two I think you need to keep 100% is Jaluk and then Billy Gonzalez. I think those two guys are huge, and you need to keep them no matter what. But yeah,
Yeah, I'll say, look, I think the strength and conditioning coach, his job or her job is to prepare you to play your position from a strength and conditioning standpoint. And it's the positions coach, their job to teach you how to play your position, which includes how to play your position without getting injured. So it's more like the position coach that really should be teaching you how to tackle where your arm isn't like underneath the line of scrimmage getting fallen on.
right.
So and then another part of it I think is just the physicality of our players. You know, there's some guys that just tend to be more injury prone than others. Um, you know, like look at Eugene Wilson and Devin Moore. These guys are always injured. And the thing is, what what is it about them that's different from guys that are like never injured? Like I remember, like it takes a little bit of luck to go far and win a national championship, and that luck means staying healthy. And I always bring up that 2019 LSU team. All of their stars were healthy throughout the entire year. No one ever got injured. And then Joe Burrow gets his ACL torn his first year in the NFL, which is like, I was like, okay, well, your luck runs out.
Yep.
But anyway, none of them got caught. Clyde Edwards-Helaire, the running back, healthy every game. Chase and Jefferson, wide receiver, healthy every game. And it's kind of like, well, what makes them so different? I just think it has to do a lot with how aggressive you play your position, how much you dictate the game, how much you make the other team play on your terms, and are you low to the ground as a running back? Like our running back Jaden Baugh. He's kind of a low center of gravity, smaller running back with some big powerful legs. Those guys are usually not gonna they're hard to tackle. They're pretty good. They're not going to get it, and Jacoby Jackson the same way. Big built, strong legs, low to the ground. When you're like really tall and skinny as a running back, that's not you're going to get injured because your leg is going to get hit and then you're going to be flying all over the place. So, I think it has a lot to do with how you can build your players to withstand the grind of the season. But also, Billy Napier um, plays a lot of guys intentionally so that, number one, if we do get injured, other people can step in and have experience, but it reduces the number of reps that each person has. So you're not like, the Boise State running back, Ashton Genty, has like 50 carries a game. So, like, I'm surprised he's still healthy. Like, but
Yeah.
then again, think about it. You play in the Mountain West. How hard do these guys hit out there? Probably not
That
that hard. You
that
probably can't. Yeah.
and we're gonna find that out against Penn State. I'm so curious to see him against that Penn State line. It's gonna be awesome.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but
But you hit on something I was interested in.
yeah, no, I totally agree. That makes sense then. Like I said, I don't know much about it. I just go off what people say. That is one part of the coaching that I just think, hey, they just lift weights. You know what I mean? I don't know. But that makes sense. So yeah, nothing too crazy there. In Gator Nation, it's pretty smooth sailing right now at the moment. The transfer portal, did it end today or yesterday?
Oh, yeah, it closed.
That
It closed
close.
yesterday. Yeah, at
Yeah.
midnight. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there you go. So that's interesting. Our final class. Let me take a look real quick while we're sitting here. Um, and we'll kind of go through what we had, but we didn't have any new commits or anything. Um, transfer portal class rankings. All right. Let's see where we're at right now. Okay. Uh, so the 20. Oh wow, they make you do that. Okay, 1 second. Sorry.
Yeah, you got to go to
2025.
2025. Um, we're like not really high up there.
Whoa, yeah, we are. I mean, it's kind of that typical Billy Napier thing where he, gets his pieces that he feels like he needs. Let's see. Instead of like a big quantity. Whoa, we are. Okay, so according to On3, um, transfer portal. Here we go. Okay, they keep making me sign in. So, but from what
On,
On3
on
was saying is we're
two,
not even good.
247. You should be able to look it up on 247, which is it's a composite, so it uses On3 and ESPN and everybody. Um,
They're not letting me do it either. That's annoying. Something with my Microsoft Edge isn't letting me.
well, we're
Um,
number 59 on there with 4 commits.
okay. So, I mean, we got good guys, right? But it's just like if I feel like Billy Napier, man, we were talking about the CJ a couple weeks ago. We're like, hey, we need to get guys in these positions, right? We need that defensive lineman. We need some help on the offensive line. We didn't really pick that up. So that's an issue that I think is going to be something to look at. The offensive line, I think, is the biggest question mark that the Florida Gators have right now. Because defensive line is as well when it comes to veteran leadership there. Because we have a lot of young guys, you know what I mean, with depth. It's funny, we were talking about this, EJ, last week on the podcast where we're like, depth is a really... Actually, no, we were talking about this over iMessage. Where we're like, how do teams manage depth now because of the transfer portal? You can't be old Georgia. You can't be old Bama, where your third and fourth strings are like guys that could be starting at any other school. Right now, they're just going to transfer out and get way more money and start for a team and get the recognition that they feel they deserve. So is the new way of getting depth, is it just now going to be, hey, these are the veterans up top, but now it's just true freshmen under them, and these are very talented true freshmen? Like, that's what I'm kind of thinking, and that's kind of what Billy Napier's doing with this class, I believe. I want to look this up. Sorry, 1 second. Let me see. Um,
It's a great point. I mean, what is the new model? The model back in the day was you recruit, well, in the 90s, it was everything was pretty much regional. The state of Florida, our major teams, we kept our in-state players and we dominated. That's back in Florida, Florida State, Miami. We were dominating everyone because the players in Florida, the best players in Florida, stayed in Florida. Now, where are they going? They're going to Alabama. Alabama, I was looking up like the top, I saw a post and it was kind of shocking. The top 10 highest rated recruits from the state of Alabama. Zero of them went to the University of Alabama.
whew,
Like half of them went to Auburn and the other half went to other schools. And the thing is, and Alabama fans are commenting, well, we got guys from Florida and Texas. And it's kind of like, well, why would you want to get guys from Florida and Texas? I mean, I guess if they're better, but then again, it goes back to why Florida and Florida State are not dominating like we used to because the best players in our state are going to freaking Oregon.
mhm. Right.
So we got to keep our talent. But that was the old model. Recruit your players, and they can't go anywhere once they sign with you because there's no transfer portal. And you develop them over time, and you just get out there and you destroy people.
Right.
Now it's almost like you look at your first team, your second team, and your third team. You go three deep, and that's 22 players, pretty much a team, right? So first team defense, second team defense, third team defense. That's what's that? That's I'm terrible at math, but that's like it's got to be 33
Right.
players.
Right.
So 33 players on both sides is 66, your top 66. So the question now is most teams with this transfer portal situation, you've got to focus on who's my first team. Okay, that's 22 players. Everybody else is probably going to hit the portal now. Okay. And so now the strategy is let me just focus on keeping my who is going to be in my first team next year. If you lose a guy like we did with ETN, who technically was like 1A, 1B running back, is it going to be a true freshman or am I bringing someone in out of the portal?
Right.
And then once you set that, then you figure out your strategy for your second and third team. And the thing is, it affects everyone. So we may think, oh, well, we're losing all these players. How are we going to be great next year? Well, it's all relative because everyone else is facing the same issue.
100%. So I got it pulled up. These are the four commits that we have. We have the punter from Michigan, Tommy Doman, like we were talking about, because we already kind of went through these four guys because there hasn't been any new guys. But a guy who was very good the year that they won the national championship. This past year, though, not great. So that's one thing that Michigan fans have been saying. But he has won a national championship as a punter and was very good that year. I think he won the Ray Guy Award, if I'm not mistaken, for best punter in the country. I might be wrong though.
Really?
I believe so.
Wow.
I think so. I think so, or at least he got nominated for it. I think he might have got nominated for it. But that's what Michigan fans were saying. Uh, Deshaun Purdy, a quarterback from Charlotte, actually not bad. Threw for over 1,000 passing yards this past year. Obviously a good depth piece for DJ. I think I think after Napier watched our boy play against Texas, he was like, you know what, we need to get some depth pieces here. This is not great. Not get a guy from Yale as our quarterback. So we got Deshaun Purdy, a very capable, very athletic, but a good arm, really good passer too. So excited to see him as probably our second guy back there. The edge rusher, Kofi Asar from UMass, not a bad guy. He's actually a pretty good edge rusher. Obviously coming in with Jack Pyburn being gone will just be a good piece to have on that outside. So that's nice. And then Jamichael Sturdivant,
Sturdivant. Yep.
There you go. Wide receiver from UCLA. Don't know a lot about him. EJ, do you know anything about this guy?
Sturdivant.
Yeah.
He's gonna be a really solid receiver for us. He's coming over from UCLA, so we get to see him. You know, he plays super late at night for all our East Coasters. So he probably, y'all are probably like, up at 2 o'clock in the morning trying to see him play. But when they come now, they're in the Big Ten. They come out all the way east. Maybe you have to catch a couple games. This guy is a really good receiver. He's tall. He's fast. I'm trying to think of a receiver that he reminds me of that we all know. It's kind of hard to think about, but he's sort of like a mix between DK, very sure-handed, but he's taller. So he's probably got the height of Mizell. I'm trying to figure out how tall is Mizell, like a 6'2", 6'3"
I thought Mizell
guy.
was like 6'1", but
Oh, okay. I thought he was taller. Um, um, once he puts his helmets on, he'll kind of look like Trevon Grimes. I don't know if y'all remember Trevon Grimes, really good, tall, physical receiver for us, transferred to us from Ohio State. That's what he's gonna look like with his uniform on. Um, so really solid, big, fast, sure-handed. It'll be interesting to see, can he get separation deep? I don't think he's going to be like a deep threat. He's going to be more of a possession receiver, but he's a guy you can definitely throw back shoulder throws to, fades to, and over the middle. And he'll give you that big bruising, physical catch radius that DJ Lagway is going to like throwing over the middle, because when he throws over the middle, well, as long as the linebacker's not standing in front of him, ready to intercept it, uh, he's going to be a reliable guy. So Trevin Grimes, he kind of reminds me of him.
Okay, there you go. Yeah, that'll be good possession guy to have on the outside, like you were talking about. Something that DJ likes to. He loves to throw those back shoulder passes, like you said, over the middle, quick throws that can get quick first downs, especially on the hitches that Billy Napier loves to run. So yeah, there's the portal class. Could have been way better. Did not get an offensive lineman, which I'm not happy about. Like I said, man, these guys are going to have to step up. These freshmen, these young guys are going to have to step up. I think there's another portal date after the national championship game. So I really hope that Napier picks up an O-lineman, man, because there were some really good guys that we could have got that went to Ohio State, that went to a couple other schools that I feel like we could have snagged up, and we weren't able to do that. So something to really pay attention to. I know we have some great guys returning, but man, we at least need one guy to be able to throw at the guard or tackle position, because we have guys playing out of position right now. That's the truth of it. We have guys literally playing at guard that are true tackles. So it's a problem. So hopefully we can get that fixed, and that, in my opinion, is the biggest thing that we need to pay attention to alongside defensive linemen. Get a good veteran in there alongside these younger dudes. Yeah, we've had a couple guys go out,
and it looks like we're a net minus 12 with the portal, since we've got 16 guys leaving, 4 guys coming in. So we're negative minus 12 right now in terms of the net players from the portal. The thing is the portal's closed for now. But so you can't go into it, but you can still accept people who are currently in it who don't have a spot. And the portal will reopen at the end of the spring semester, going into the summer semester. So there's another opportunity for us to get players who maybe figured out at spring training, I'm not going to make the first team. And then maybe, you can get a guy, plug a hole or something like that. I'd probably say the biggest losses, I mean, if you were to tell, I think they're all, losses, because they're all in our system. They know what they're supposed to be doing. Now you have to like unteach someone their old ways and then reteach them the Gator ways. But it was probably TJ Searcy and Jack Pyburn, the two kind of outside linebacker, defensive end type guys, because that group clearly made strides. So getting people that can rush the passer, I think, is going to be important. And then, just like you said, the offensive, we got to continue. Our offensive line, though, we're returning, I think, 3 or 4 guys, I want to say.
Yeah, Jake Slaughter, Austin Barber, Damian George is coming back.
Okay.
It's just a lot of a lot of unknown. It's a lot of unknown guys on that right side. Yes, I believe right side.
Yeah. But it's a good nucleus, and as long as you have a good center, like we were saying last week, you can run up the middle. Mm-hmm. When teams like, I was watching a team, who were we watching in the bowl game that tried to run up the middle like every time and like got stoned?
Oh,
like, why the hell are you running up the middle? Your center is trash. Every time he snaps it, he's like doing the matrix into the backfield. So I'm like, Jake Slaughter, snap, power forward. That's what you got to do when you want to run up the middle. You have to have a good center. And we have that. So we're going to be able to run up the middle, which is so important in college football.
Yeah, I'm with you. Yeah, I think run game's going to be fine. I'm just more worried about pass protection and off the outside. You know what I mean? Because we got these great receivers, and we have DJ Lagway, who we know is just going to get better, right? So it's like, can you give him time and protect him? Because listen, the more sacks, obviously, the higher, or the more pressure he gets, the higher chance of him getting hurt again, right? The reason he got hurt was because he had to escape the pocket, because he had pressure on him, stepped with that foot, and then his hamstring went out. So I'm just worried about keeping him safe, protecting him, and that's going to be obviously key to the 2025 season. So, but
100%,
yeah,
100%.
but I
Yes.
agree. I think Slaughter coming back, Barber coming back, all that's massive, and it is going to be huge for us. Um, so yeah, I think that's kind of it for Gator Nation. Anything else, EJ, that jumped out at you?
We're just wait and see mode now after the playoffs are done and everyone that's in the portal. I think there's like 2,000 players that have not, they don't have a landing spot yet. So, which means you technically could come back. So the guys that are in the portal could technically come back. And that's something that we can touch on is, when you go into the portal, the way it's set up is you don't really have a choice. If you're in the playoffs, you have to kind of go in the portal if you're thinking that you need to, um, which is kind of weird. And we've seen guys in the portal like our Ty Thompson, the Tulane quarterback that we played against. He's in the portal, but he's also playing. So as a coach, you're kind of like, okay, we're going to play you because we don't really have a choice because the other guy is completely trash but do I really want to have you starting when the bowl game is really like a celebration of our season, but also look ahead to next year, like who's going to be available next year to kind of take us to the promised land. Now, if you're convinced that, all right, well, the quarterback of the future is on another roster right now, so we don't have a choice but to play this guy. Um, that's kind of a weird situation to be in as a coach. Um,
No, that's when you pull your left tackle to the side and you whisper in his ear and say, "Dude, just let the DN go. Just let him hit him, bro." Yeah, just like you just let him go for it, man."
and that's exactly what happened in that game. If that's
Yeah.
because he couldn't throw a lick. I mean, the last drive when we had like the water boys in on defense, they finally got a touchdown. Um, but it was yeah. This is wild.
Yeah, man, I agree, and we're gonna dive into that. We're gonna end off the podcast talking about the state of college football and what we think, because yeah, it's an absolute joke. But that also transitions into our next segment, which is talking about the bowl games this past week. It's so hard to pick these bowl games. We both were not great. We were above 500. We were above 500, but they were pick'ems. They weren't even spread picks, and we didn't do great. Usually, you're supposed to do even better with the pick'ems, and that didn't work out. But yeah, it's hard to pick because it's like some of these guys are in the portal, but they're playing, and then some of them are in the portal but they're not playing. And you got guys like Cam Ward who plays for the first half just to break a record and then sits out, which is in my opinion the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're not even playing for your team. Like if I'm one of his teammates, I'm going, so you're just doing this for the record? Like that's, I don't know. In my opinion, that's selfish as hell. But that's just me. What's your opinion on that, EJ? That's crazy, right?
Well, I mean, honestly, I would have preferred if he just didn't play at all and just
Exactly.
said, "Hey, what's a majigger? Eli Thompson, what was the guy's name? Williams,
Yep.
play the whole game, dude." Because to come in, play the first half, and then score all these points, and then now the second half is like now you're out of rhythm. This guy is cold. He has to come in against a decent team. It's just a weird, awkward position. And then my pick was based on Cam Ward's going to play the whole game. Like, and they probably would have won if he was playing the whole game. But as soon as they kicked that last field goal to make it 41-35, I was like, yeah, they're about to lose because their defense is trash. And I'm like, okay, uh, what's the coach's name? Crystal Balls.
Yeah.
Didn't you not have a crystal ball to see that if you don't score, you should have went for it? Because if you don't score a touchdown right there, your defense is trash and you're going to give up a touchdown. And then you didn't even know how to clock manage because I was thinking to myself, okay, so this guy is going to let them run the clock all the way down and you're going to not even going to have any time for your quarterback who can't throw to try to make a comeback. And that's exactly what happened. You didn't have enough time. So I was like, this has to be the worst. There's no difference between a three. Yeah, there technically is, because if you go for the field goal, then you're forcing the other team to go for a touchdown, which is what you're not understanding, Mario Cristobal. I would have rather forced them to tie it than force them to actually win the game.
Yep.
So you completely don't know how to coach again. It reminded me of the Georgia Tech game from last year, where I forgot what happened in that game, but it was something like you needed to take a knee, but you fumbled the ball
Yep.
because you didn't take a knee.
He did that at Oregon a couple times too. There was a couple games in Oregon where he lost it for his team. He's not a good coach, man. And what's crazy is who's Miami's quarterback? Did they get someone out of the portal?
They don't have anyone out of the portal.
So what are they doing?
I will say this. Because Cam Ward came in and was very, very successful, that is going to be a great marketing pitch for quarterbacks that are in the portal. And usually we see that play itself out, like Notre Dame, Notre Dame. Their strategy is, screw it. We're going to portal a quarterback every year. We can recruit a guy, but who has time for that? So their strategy is, we're going to get a one and done quarterback every year that's going to come in and everything is plug and play. So I do think Miami will probably be in line to get one of the top, whoever that guy is. Are they going to be as good as Cam Ward though? I don't think there's going to be a quarterback in the portal that's going to be as good as Cam Ward, but I do think they're probably going to get a good quarterback because Cristobal is an offensive guy and they can just pitch, hey, look, Cam Ward came in. He's Heisman candidate. You can do the same thing. Oh yeah. Okay, coach. I could be Cam Ward. So that's probably what's going to happen.
Well, here's my issue with Miami. It's like, even if you have a good quarterback out of the portal, like you were talking about, best case scenario, does he have that ability to extend plays like Cam Ward did? No. And
No.
Cam Ward single-handedly, alongside Xavier Restrepo, which by the way is didn't even play. He's going to the draft. He's going to be in the NFL.
Yeah.
It's like, what are you going to be able? Like, they probably lose two more games this past season with a even great quarterback. You know what I mean? That doesn't have the ability to extend plays like that.
Oh,
so
for
think
sure.
about it. You got Cam Ward gone, Xavier Restrepo. I don't know about the running back Martinez. That was the transfer. I don't know if he's going to the NFL draft or if he has one more year. If he's gone, they don't have anybody. Like they're gonna have a bad year next year, man.
Yeah, and their defense is absolute positive
Trash.
And
Garbage.
I'm like, but see, Logan, this is exactly where we've been the last few years and so it's great to see the shoe on the other foot. I remember last year, the defense, I was like, oh, the defense has made improvements. Look at the first few games. Like, we're stopping people. Then toward the end of the season, we're like a wet paper bag. And I'm like, wait a minute. Why can't we stop anyone? Miami's that team now where they played us and it looked like we couldn't block them. We couldn't run it. We couldn't throw it. Nothing doing. They were blowing people, beat USF by 50, beat somebody by 50. And then now they can't stop anyone. So that's not a good sign if you're, if I think Martinez actually has 1 year of eligibility left. So we'll see if he comes back. He played in this game, so
yeah, he looked good.
Maybe back, yeah, looked really good. Should have got a taunting penalty though on that first touchdown.
Hey,
they didn't throw it though.
They didn't throw. They were letting them play, man. They were like actually letting them play. There was a bunch of holdings and pass interferences in that game that they just let happen, bro. That was honestly one of the most entertaining first halves I've ever seen for a bowl game.
For sure.
It was. Just no defense was being played, dude. Bombs down the field, big runs. It was a great time, which we'll get to in a little bit when we talk about that one. So let's go and dive into it, EJ. Yeah, like I said, I'm not gonna reveal our records now, but they're not super pretty. So let's go ahead and start it off with Coastal Carolina playing UTSA in the Myrtle Beach Bowl. Coastal Carolina just gets whooped on their home field, 44-15. I picked UTSA. You picked Coastal Carolina. Didn't really work great for them. They take the L. So
Coastal Carolina. I picked you for two reasons. You had a good quarterback a couple years ago, and I forgot the guy's name, but he was good, and we wanted him. And number two, aren't you from Carolina? Defend your home turf, people.
literally, that's their stadium. That's their home stadium.
You're
They
in your
got beat
home
like that.
field and you get destroyed.
Yeah.
Isn't Sweet Magnolias from there?
Yeah.
That's number three. Number four, you were in the Hawaii Bowl. You were in the Hawaii Bowl not too long, like last year. So I was like, okay, Coastal Carolina, the stars are aligning. And guess what? You get ran over. Not a good look.
Nope. Famous Idaho Potato Bowl. Northern Illinois beats Fresno State 28-20. I had Fresno State. You had NIU. You take a win here, EJ. Yeah, I watched this game as well. I Fresno State had it. They had
They
it.
had it. They
They
had
had it.
it.
And then Northern Illinois comes out of nowhere and just takes the lead and wins it, bro. I was so pissed. But yeah, Northern Illinois gets the win.
Yeah, yeah. Didn't that go? That went to overtime, right?
I believe so.
Yeah, that went to overtime. Fresno, you did not represent California. What the hell were you doing? NIU, great job. You beat Notre Dame. Now you end on a bowl win. Good season.
8-win season. Good job for NIU there. Next one we
Chi-town
have.
represent.
Yep. Next one we have Hawaii Bowl. South Florida beat San Jose State 41-39. It was like what 5-6 overtime game. It was insane. You were there, EJ. Let's see. We both picked USF to get it done, even though San Jose State was favored by 3.5, and they got the win. Good job, South Florida.
Woo! Yeah, that was a game where you could kind of tell why San Jose State was favored. Their lines of scrimmage were just a little bit. They were just better than USF's, more physical. But uh, San Jose State's quarterback, I think he's transferring or something like that. So
Mm-hmm.
they had or injured or something like that. So they had the backup, but the backups played a lot. So I'm like, the backups out here, he's like Justin Herbert. Like, and we can't get any pressure. So it's going to be a long day. So great
Justin Herbert.
job for us getting in a triple, quintuple overtime because I was like, there's no way we're going to win this game. We were able to get it done. We were able to get that. Gators versus USF next year.
Hey. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hopefully it's not another 5 overtime game. Next one we got game of
FAU. You remember that game?
Yeah, there you go. Oh, geez, that was brutal. Game above Sports Bowl. The Pittsburgh Panthers lose 46-48 in a 6 overtime game. This game was it was fun to watch, man. It was insane. Toledo immaturely rushes the field like 3 times in this game as they think that they win it, but there's like 3 flags in overtime plays. So they had to get everyone off the field multiple times. Flags were everywhere. Coaches were going crazy. It was just one hell of a game. Pitt had this game multiple times, and Toledo just somehow makes it happen there late. My question is, EJ, how do you feel about the overtime layout? Do you like the 2-point going back and forth? I'm not too big of a fan of that, but
I mean, at the end of the day, there's always one game or something that happens that forces a rule change. So Joe Burrow got destroyed in the Fiesta Bowl against UCF, and so now they came up with illegal blindside block. To LSU, ironically, Joe Burrow, so we can blame him for half these rule changes. They go to 8 overtimes against Texas A&M, and they say, well, now everyone's too tired, so let's get rid of that format, and let's actually we'll do everyone gets the ball one time. Then the second time you get the ball, you got to go for 2. Then the third overtime, everyone just goes for 2. I don't think I like that format because it just it's weird. And then my mom, she's like at the bowl game, she's like, I don't understand why they don't just do field goal kicks. Like
It's better.
she was just like, just do field goal kicks and back them up every 10 yards every time and just see who could make it.
Hey,
I was
shout out
like,
Mama, dude. She knows what's up.
yeah, I was like, you know what? That actually is probably not as bad of an idea as what we're looking at right now.
Yep, no question.
But I don't know. I'm probably so if we don't have this format, then you go back to then you have like NFL, which is pretty much like sudden death almost.
Yeah,
Like
terrible.
you so you're pretty much whoever wins the coin toss is probably going to win because if you can score a touchdown on your first possession, the game's over. Um so I don't know. I don't know, man.
I say go back to what it was before the Texas A&M and LSU game, or what that was. Like I say, screw it and just give them the ball at the 25. Let them keep scoring. I don't mind making them go for two at the end of that. I think that's cool. But the 2 point going back and forth. Also, both teams getting a timeout. They both use it every single time. So you're sitting there for like an extra. Like that game went on for an extra hour, hour and a half, because the coaches kept calling a timeout every possession they had in overtime. And it's just like, oh my God, dude. Like, let's just get it going. Absolutely brutal. So yeah, I agree. I just want to hear your opinion on that, and everyone watching, I want to hear your guys' opinion on the overtime
Yeah.
rules. I'm not a fan
Let
of
us
them.
know. Let
Yeah,
us know.
but anyway, next one we have the Rate Bowl. We have the Rutgers Scarlet Knights against Kansas State. Kansas State gets the win 44-41. This is actually one hell of a game. We both picked Kansas State, and they both get the dub. Huge.
Yeah, great win for Kansas State. Rutgers, man, you even said, yeah, Rutgers is a good little team. I was like, mm, Greg Schiano.
Yep. Yep, they're dirty. They're dirty, man. Also, Avery Johnson, I really like him as a quarterback. That's the reason I picked Kansas State. But yeah, Rutgers has been that really gritty team that no one really wants to play all year. So yeah, they it sucks they didn't end the season on a great note, but a good little team there. Next one we have the 68 Ventures Bowl, Arkansas State Red Wolves versus Bowling Green. I picked Bowling Green. You picked Arkansas State. Arkansas State gets the win 38-31.
Yeah, the fighting Butch Jones, brick by brick, baby.
Yes, sir. That was a pretty fun game to watch, too. Next one, we have the Lockheed Martin Armed Forces Bowl. Oklahoma loses to the Navy Midshipmen 21-20. This was insane. We were talking about it. Oklahoma decides to go for two to go for the win right at the end of the game, and it didn't go well. So, EJ, tell me your thoughts.
Dude, this is when my bowl picks fell off a freaking cliff. I knew when this game happened, I was like, all my picks today are trash. Oklahoma, okay, we're praising you the other week. You're the reason Alabama didn't get into the playoff. Venables, aren't you supposed to have a top defense? You got up 14-0. Your quarterback, who knows what he was doing? But here's the deal: you tie you 20-21, and then Venables is like, go for two, go for two, go for two. Okay, everyone, football people, let's listen. Hear me out on this. Here's my philosophy on going for two. And this also applies to the video game. Since we brought that back, do this too, because I play some of you people and you go for two every time and you look like idiots. Here's the reality: you only go for two when you absolutely have to have it. Because at the end of the day, if you're just going for two, there's a 40% chance you're actually going to make the 2 point conversion, which is less than 50, which means you're not going to get it. So, and a 99% chance you're going to make the one. So go for the one. The other reason at the end of the game, now, Florida versus Tennessee, I said go for two. Why? We had the momentum. We were actually moving the ball. We were successful. We had a powerful quarterback. We also were on the road in a hostile environment where you can get a feel that if we went to overtime, we were not going to win the game. Okay. The other philosophy is you need a 2 point play call. A 2 point play call is a hike, immediate throw, hike, some sort of reverse fake, throw to the opposite side. It's a play that happens immediately. Venables, you didn't have a play and you still went for two. It's kind of like, okay, let's hike the ball and have a quarterback who can't read a defense stand back there and pray that someone comes open. That's not a play call, Venables. How much money do you make? You freaking hike the ball to the quarterback and you roll him out and you have guys running this way and you throw him the ball. Or you have a guy leaking backside and you throw it back to him. That's a 2-point play. You deserved exactly what you got to get sacked. I'm surprised he didn't fumble and they ran it back. You deserve to get sacked and lose the game because that was a trash 2-point conversion play call. You should have went for one and then prayed that you figured it out in overtime.
I agree. I think that there's a time and place to go for two. I think it's very circumstantial. Listen, it's a bowl game, so in my opinion, you can have a little bit more fun with it, right? And you can go for two, whatever. So going for two is not a huge issue for me. Would I have done it? Maybe, but if I did go for it, I'm not doing that play call. I have a bigger issue with the play call. Like, you have a quarterback who has not been doing good passing the ball all game. You have not been able to move the ball down the field all game at all. And you make him drop back and read the field, which is weird because even his biggest passing plays, he wasn't doing that. It was a one read thing. And this guy drops back, looks to he's actually going through progressions when he's at the 2-yard line and has guys right in his face. And he goes left, nope, right, nope. And then he freaks out. And by the time he goes to his third read or goes to his check down, his offensive line fell apart. So I just think, like I said, it's really weird. You didn't have Jackson Darnold in this game because he entered the transfer portal, went to Auburn. So you got this young guy in here who did start, by the way, a couple games in the middle of the season after Jackson Arnold's performance against Tennessee. But yeah, man, I mean, just a weird play call, a weird moment. Like I said, I don't really mind going for two there. It doesn't bother me that much, but just the play call that they did was horrendous, and it's just funny to see Oklahoma lose to Navy. Terrible. By the way, we both picked Oklahoma, and they just destroyed it. Next one we have AutoZone Liberty Bowl. Texas Tech versus Arkansas. Arkansas wins 39-26. Really good win for Arkansas, by the way, to finish off 7-6. We both picked Arkansas to win this game, and they get it done. I changed my pick last second, because all the Texas Tech transfers, and so I did go Arkansas. So I would have been screwed there. So huge for me. I didn't watch too much of this game. Did you, EJ?
Yeah, I watched a little bit. I mean, Arkansas has a lot of guys in the portal, but their quarterback is playing. And Arkansas is a little bit more physical than Texas Tech, but the Big 12, I think, is a little bit underrated. I mean, they're doing well in these bowl games. I just went with Arkansas because they got a better quarterback.
Yep. No, that's exactly, that the green guy, like we said, he's a solid quarterback, really holding that whole team together over there, and single-handedly has won them a lot of games. And so, yeah, the Big 12, man, one hell of a conference, which we're going to get to in a little bit. But, yeah, they had a 4-way tie for first place. It was just insane. Next one we have Birmingham Bowl. Georgia Tech versus Vanderbilt. I was doing something. I wasn't able to really watch too much of this game. I forgot what I was
driving somewhere. You're driving.
Yeah, I was driving somewhere. So I wasn't able to watch this game too much. I did watch the whole first half though. Vanderbilt comes out swinging, bro. Pavia goes crazy, plays a really good game. Haynes King really just George. I don't know what it was because they didn't have a lot of transfers or anything. They just looked out physical. It was weird. You know what I mean? Like, this is the same team that went toe-to-toe with Georgia, and Vanderbilt just looked like a powerhouse against them at times. It was really strange. They stayed in there in the second half and fought, but good win for Vanderbilt here, ending the season 7-6. Pavia gets another granted year of eligibility to come back and play next year, even though he's like 29 years old and has a wife and like 5 kids. Not really. Big win for Vanderbilt. We both picked Vanderbilt, I believe. Yes, we did. Vanderbilt gets the win, even though Georgia Tech was favored by 2.5.
Okay, so when you drive around, are you using the toll roads?
Yep.
Really?
Yep. 100%, dude. I gotta get there, dude. I gotta get there.
All right. Yeah. I'm the same way. I'm just like, I gotta use the toll roads, and too many crazy people are driving on. Y'all at 75? Yeah. Too many crazy people.
Yeah.
Anyway, this game, a lot of people are like, well, Georgia Tech is going to win this game. Haynes King is so good, and they went to 5 overtimes against Georgia. I was kind of like, okay, first of all, that was fool's gold because number one, I know Kirby Smart. They didn't even practice for Georgia Tech. Okay, they were practicing for Texas. So great job, Georgia Tech. You went to 5 overtimes. You probably should have won the game. You didn't. Georgia won. Now you play Vanderbilt. People still underrate Vanderbilt. When Vanderbilt played Alabama, how did they win that game? They won that game because they were very well coached. They didn't get a lot of penalties, but physically, they were Alabama was like, oh crap. It kind of reminded me of for my Avengers fans out there. I love Avengers. I love Marvel. Thanos, and he was fighting Captain Marvel. She was trying to take the glove, and he was like, "You can't take my glove." And then he like tried to headbutt her, and she looked back at him like, "That's all you got?" And then he's like, "Oh crap!" That was like Alabama trying to headbutt Vandy, and then Vandy's like, "Yeah, we're still here, baby." And Vandy's a good team, so it was not surprising that they did, were able to go toe to toe against Georgia Tech. The game got a little heated though in the second half. It was like the refs were making some calls. The Georgia Tech coach went crazy. He got a personal foul. And then when Vanderbilt scored that touchdown on that drive, back to back turnovers from Georgia Tech, Haynes
Mm.
King, led to the avalanche for Pavia, who is a physical, low to the ground quarterback who will just run that ball on you. And it's devastating. And Vandy wins.
Good job, Vandy, man. Vanderbilt's like one of my favorite SEC teams now, dude. Good for them, bro. I love to see their success. Uh,
Nashville. We love
yeah,
Nashville.
yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. Next one we got DirecTV Holiday Bowl, Syracuse versus Washington State.
San
Syracuse.
Diego.
Yeah, there you go. Syracuse wins 52-35. Washington State. Wait, well, what was it? It was I think Syracuse got up to a huge lead very early on, right? And then Washington State kind of fought back, which was weird because they don't have their quarterback right now. And then yeah, I mean, listen, you got Kyle McCord, which Ohio State fans are pissed about because this guy played like trash last year, and then they're like, he's the problem. Turned out he wasn't really the problem. He goes to Syracuse and just goes off. It's a system issue. And yeah, he broke a record in this game for passing yards, I believe,
Yep.
right? Yeah, just went off in this game, man. Love that for Kyle McCord. Love that for Syracuse. We both picked Syracuse. They're favored by 16.5. They got the win.
Syracuse. Let me tell you something. They moved the Holiday Bowl to Snapdragon, which is like on the east side of town. It's over there by San Diego State now. Uh, the old Qualcomm Stadium. I didn't go to it because I live literally across the street from the baseball stadium, Petco Park. Last year it was at Petco Park. I was like, oh, we're definitely going to this game. Louisville versus USC. It was fun. So I didn't go to this game because it was too far. But anyway, Syracuse, Ohio State fans. Call McCord's trash. Get rid of him. I kind of try to tell people this guy is a pretty good little quarterback. I mean, he every time I see him, he's throwing the ball right on the money. So he's a great quarterback. Good for him. Happy to see him win this game. Um, Syracuse 10-3. Like who would have thought that?
Yeah.
Very pretty good team. Pretty
Yep.
good team.
Once again, ACC, another really fun conference to watch this year. You have four teams up top that were dominant, but the funny thing is that they all did not play each other. That's what was funny. Well, Syracuse did play Miami, but yeah, you got Syracuse, Miami, Clemson, SMU, Duke. It's like they were a deep little conference, man. It was a pretty good year for college football. And in my opinion, Syracuse would have beat Clemson. They probably would have beat SMU as well. One of my favorite teams in the ACC. Next one, we got the SRS Distribution Las Vegas Bowl. I did watch this game. And what Texas A&M, what are you doing? I mean, you're up. But what was the score? Was it 24-7? I think at one
24 to
point.
7.
I mean, then they just fall apart, man. Throwing interceptions. Marcel Reed looked really good in this game, then also at other times looked rough. One interception wasn't his fault. The other one was not great. And yeah, USC just stopped the turnovers late in in the fourth quarter, which is how they came back and won this game. Wild game. It looked like it was going to be a blowout. I stopped watching for a little bit, and then I saw it on my phone. I'm like, oh, maybe I should turn it back on. And USC wins it late. Huge, huge win for USC, man. Love that for this team. This team is a team that should probably be should have ended the season 11-1. As crazy as that sounds. All their losses came from I think all added together was 15 points. It's insane. So, yeah, huge win for USC. Good football team. Excited to see their future.
Yeah, and the stats for USC suggest a team that should be around 9 wins instead of 7. Because at the end of the day, when you're playing 50-50 games, you're going to win 50% of them, right? But they lost pretty much all of them. So it was like they were due.
Yep.
But the reason I picked Texas A&M is because, Texas A&M had a lot of guys out. I think they had their 2 best defensive linemen out in this game. But I was kind of like, that's probably not going to matter because the USC quarterback transferred. So they got a new guy in there, Mavia.
Yep.
So I was kind of like, he's new, so he probably won't know what's going on, and Marcel Reed's going to dominate. Marcel Reed did his thing. He did a great job. But the Texas A&M defense, you fell apart in the second half. Where were you? D up. So little Lincoln Riley, he came through. They figured it out, got a win at the end. They couldn't get a stop on that last drive. So Texas A&M couldn't. So USC, hey. But A&M fans, just like me 2 years ago, if you lose, at least you're in Vegas, baby. Drown your sorrows.
The funniest part is Texas A&M ended the season with 8 wins, which is an ongoing joke on how it's just another average year of another 8-win season because they're all hyped preseason to be a top 10 team. That's so funny. Good news is Mike Elko, I think, does have a bright future there. I do think they're going to be a very dominant team. But it's just it's so funny to see the cycle continue with them only getting 8 wins after midseason being a SEC contender. Next one we have really to the end of the season. Wasabi Fenway Bowl. The UConn Huskies took on North Carolina. They win 27-14. The score should have been 35-14. North Carolina was just absolute trash in this game. I picked UNC. I think you picked. I picked UConn. I think you picked UConn as well. Without a head coach there, obviously Bill Belichick not traveling with the team, which I thought was pretty funny. They just look lost. I mean, their quarterback is garbage. I think it was their 4th string. So he's 2nd string for this game, 4th string at the beginning of the season because of all the transfers, obviously. They benched the starter in this game after the first quarter. North Carolina does, and it was just UConn looked dominant. Man, looked really, really good. North Carolina just looked like garbage.
Yeah, I think I actually picked North Carolina, and because usually normally I would have picked UConn, but the reality is I was like, well, they're gonna rally behind the new coach or whatever. And then he decides after I was like, he's not even coming in the game. Then I'm like, well, UNC's got a much better roster, even with the first team out. And you still look like trash. So the headline was UConn beats North Carolina, ... in football. Because, usually it's a basketball game.
Right.
So what a way to end the year, UNC.
There you go. Next one we have Bad Boys Mowers Pinstripe Bowl. We have Boston College versus Nebraska. Nebraska almost pulls in Nebraska at the end of this game. They were up and dominated the majority of this game. They almost fall apart late. They have to get a first down on this last drive, and they finally do it. Dude, I thought they were going to blow it again. I was like, there's no way that this is going to happen to Nebraska again, where they have the lead super late, and then they screw it up. They somehow come back from it and win this game, man. It was insane to watch. I think we both picked, let me see. You picked Boston. I picked Nebraska. Listen, Boston College, I think on paper is the better football team, but I was like, dude, Nebraska getting their first bowl in since 2016, and them going for their first bowl win since 2015. I was like, they're not going to mess this up, and they didn't, but they almost did. So I mean, honestly, could have gone either way. Boston College, just looked a little weird, kind of all over the place, right? They're Nebraska more physical because Boston College, they play that physical front with Bill O'Brien. And you can't be physical when you can't be the more physical team when you have that number nine on the front for Nebraska, just this big white boy, corn-fed dude that's like 6'8", 380. And you're like, God, dude, what do they feed this guy? It looks like something from like a Game of Thrones episode. He dominated this game, played really well. They put him in at fullback, dude. Bro, he's blowing up guys as a fullback for the run game. So yeah, huge win for Nebraska. Really excited and happy for them.
Oh, yeah, I was like, Nebraska's probably the right pick, but these bowl games, you just pick the opposite team, and I got screwed. So guess what? Boston College, not a good look.
Well, not as bad as we both got screwed in this next game. The Isleta, New Mexico Bowl, Louisiana Raging Cajuns versus TCU. We both picked Louisiana, and Louisiana loses 34-3. This was not even close.
What the heck happened? I didn't even watch it.
I watched the first half because that's all I needed to watch. And, dude, it was just, TCU was just the better football team. Like, this right here shows, once again, like we were talking about, the depth of the Big 12 is unbelievable. It's insane. Them, the SEC, ACC, Big 10, like, it goes deep. And this is a great year for college football, very even year. There wasn't any big team. And TCU obviously finishes the year now 9-4. It dominated this game. Honestly, looking back on it, I should have picked TCU. I think the reason I picked Louisiana was because of Billy Napier. But yeah, TCU played a really good year, a really good good season, and Louisiana gets destroyed by Marshall in the Sun Belt Championship. A very similar score actually. And so I should have been like, yeah, TCU take this, but I went with Louisiana. Screwed both of us, man.
Same, dude. Same. When I first made it, I was like, yeah, let's go Louisiana. But then I'm kind of like, okay, it's TCU. And we all get traumatized from the 65-7 Georgia versus TCU. But here's the reality. When TCU plays other mid-major teams, they're going to destroy them. It's when they play Georgia when they're going to lose.
Right.
So we should have picked TCU. So yeah, Raging Cajuns eating a little too much gumbo or whatever, beignets before this game, you got destroyed.
Bro, it wasn't even close. It was actually pretty sad to watch. Next one we have the Pop-Tart Bowl. We kind of talked about this earlier with Iowa State and Miami. Iowa State wins 42-41. I mean, we both picked Miami in this game. I had $10 on this game, lost my $10. Listen, the game I think was it tied at halftime? I believe. Miami was down by 3 points or something like that at halftime, even with Cam Ward in. But with how the Miami defense did step up a little bit in that second half and did stop Iowa State a few times, if Cam Ward was in this game, Cam Ward wins it for Miami. That's the most frustrating part, and he doesn't do that. So we kind of, expanded on that, earlier. But yeah, big win for Iowa State. The most wins, I think, in program history with 11. Becht looked really good at quarterback. To have not watched much of him this season. Once again, Big 12 team.
Matt Campbell Soup won it again, baby. And Cam Ward, what the hell? Why did you not play the second half? At least play the last drive to get him into field goal range.
I thought he was going to because he was stretching out his arm. He was throwing the ball. I'm like, no way, dude.
Yeah, I'm like, you can't even come in for the last second drive like the video game. But anyway, just trash defense from Miami. You need to be able to play defense. You can't play defense. It was Big 12 versus ACC. We should have went Big 12. Exactly.
Should have. Next one we have Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Yes, sir. Miami, Ohio wins 43-17. We both picked Colorado State to beat Miami, Ohio, and that didn't really work out. So big win for Miami of Ohio. I didn't watch
State?
It. Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, man.
Yep.
All right.
So, yeah. Dude, 73% of people picked Colorado State. That's what's crazy. They had the better resume. It's just maybe they had some opt-outs we didn't know about. That's what happens with these bowl games. You just don't know. Miami, Ohio, though, man. 27% of the population picked them, and they finished the season with 9 wins. Good for them. Um, Next one we have the Go Bowling Military Bowl, East Carolina versus NC State. I picked NC State. You picked East Carolina. East Carolina wins it 26-21. By the way, NC State had this game late. They had it late, and then East Carolina comes out and wins it. So frustrating to see. Yeah, man. Good win for you, EJ. Good pick, bro.
This was the last game that I was able to change. Because I think I picked East Carolina when we did the picks, but then like I had NC State on the Bowl Mania. And so I was like, okay, screw that. I'm not picking any more AC teams. You're trash. East Carolina, Pirates of the Caribbean.
Yeah, great uniforms. Next one we have is the one of my favorite bowl games. I was actually most excited for the Valero Alamo Bowl. BYU versus Colorado, a Big 12 this is kind of like another Big 12 championship, right? These are the two teams under the actual two teams that went to the championship, BYU and Colorado. BYU dominates 36-14. Absolutely insane. I picked Colorado. You picked Colorado. We did not see this coming at all. BYU, a very inconsistent team. I knew that they probably were better on the special teams. They obviously had the kick return and everything, but I did not think that they were going to be able to destroy a Colorado team that I feel like was wanting to end the season with 10 wins, which would have been huge for, 9 wins is still huge for Deion Sanders, but 10 wins, going from 4 to 10, being, I think, 11th preseason in the Big 12 would be insane. But, dude, BYU just got off to such a fast start, you couldn't even believe it. Colorado could not get anything going offensively in this game. It was just Travis Hunter basically out there. Will Shepard couldn't even do anything really for Colorado in this game. Yeah, I had to stop watching because it was that bad. So I thought second half, I watched a little bit of the third quarter to see if Colorado was going to come out and do something. They didn't. they didn't at all. BYU dominant in this game, looked like the best team in the Big 12.
Yeah, BYU, this just goes to show, a lot of people are Colorado's overrated. Coach Prime's overrated. I'm kind of like, okay, you were 1-11 2 years ago. Now you're 9-3. I don't think they're overrated. And then number two, what was clear in this game is that it takes time to establish the culture of physicality in your program. BYU and Utah, typically they don't recruit the best defensive linemen, the top recruits, but they develop you to play with physicality and your block and do all those things. And it was clear that won out in this game against Colorado, where it's kind of like Colorado's kind of flashy. They have star players, but in terms of that culture of just playing as a team and being physical at the point of attack, BYU just dominated the line of scrimmage. Shedeur Sanders had no time to throw the ball. BYU just was immediately in there sacking him every 5 seconds. It was just a slaughter in that line of scrimmage. And that's where this game was won. And so if Coach Prime's going to do anything, you got to learn from that. You got to say, hey, how do we become more physical at the line of scrimmage? Because they just ate our lunch.
Yep. It was absolutely brutal. Last game, Radiance Technologies Independence Bowl, Louisiana Tech in there to take the place of Marshall, which obviously fell apart, versus number 22 Army. Army wins 27-6. I did not watch this game because it was like 2 a.m. Yeah, listen, if Marshall was in this game, I think Marshall actually wins this, but Army finishing the season with 12 wins. Good for them, man. Their 2 losses coming to, obviously, Navy. They could have 13 wins. That's insane. And to Notre Dame. That's wild. If they win that Navy game, they could end the season with 13 wins. Put them in the playoff, dude.
Yeah, all the college football fans, since you're all brainwashed by the committee and ESPN, and you think few losses means you're in the playoff. Well, put Army in there. Look at them. They're 12-2. They're beautiful. They protect our troops. So Army, you ran them over. Louisiana Tech, honestly, I wouldn't have put Louisiana Tech in there. I would have put like an SEC team and just say, hey, who the hell didn't go? Mississippi State.
Yeah.
Mississippi State. You want to play in a bowl? Go right ahead. Because that probably would have been a little bit more entertaining than this. Army, easy win.
There you go. So we finished those bowl games. I finished 10-9. EJ 9-10. We are now equal, 47-42, both on the year with our predictions. Going into these last few weeks, this is insane. I
Woo!
I started it off with a huge lead by like 10 points. I fall apart mid-season. EJ starts killing it with his picks. He gets way above me. We're now even again. It's just up and down, man. We love to see it. It's entertaining. We should have made like a I don't know. Like we need to get like a trophy or something and have it each season for who had the most points.
Pop Tart.
Yeah, Pop Tart. There you go. You get a hot fudge Pop Tart for whoever wins it. A whole box of them. But yeah, the which by the way, what's your favorite flavor?
Blueberry with the
The
frost.
blueberry. That's what it was. And I said I'm more of a strawberry guy. I'm more basic. I heard the hot fudge one. People have been talking about that a lot. That
Yeah,
one
hot fudge and cinnamon roll.
and cinnamon
Apparently.
roll. People love cinnamon roll. Yeah, I don't know. I need to try out the blueberry one and get back to you on that. But yeah, so we need to get some kind of trophy thing. But even on the season, both above 500, which is awesome to see. So we'll see how
Five
that
overtime,
continues. Oh yeah, let's get yeah. We'll keep going for two. So we'll keep doing. We'll start betting on high school games. But yeah, so there you go. That's it for this past bowl week. All right, so final bowl week here, EJ. We have some bowl games to go through. We're just gonna kind of cruise through some of these. We're starting it off strong with Iowa versus Missouri. Iowa, only 18% of people have picked them, but this is the TransPerfect Music City Bowl. I'm going to go Missouri here, number 19 Missouri. I like this Iowa team. Missouri, a team that's really not great. They're just very middle in the pack, a little overrated, I think, but I got to go with an SEC school here. Hopefully Brady Cook plays out of his mind and the Tigers get it done.
Yeah, I'm trying to see. I think Brady Cook's going to play, right?
Oh yeah. I haven't seen where anyone saying he hasn't.
This is a very evenly matched game, to be honest with you. I wouldn't be surprised. Iowa is one of those teams. Iowa and Iowa State are those two teams that you freaking flip a freaking coin as to are they going to be Jekyll or are they going to be Hyde? You never know. Um, and Missouri kind of reminds me of Tennessee in that they have a really good record in the SEC, but they kind of played an easy schedule.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna pick Missouri, but I'm telling you right now, the Hawkeyes might get it done.
Honestly, I think the Hawkeyes are the better pick. I really do. The more I'm like sitting here thinking about it, but it,
Wait, where's this? It's in Nashville.
it's in Nashville. It's closer. It's Missouri. Missouri's closer. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's gonna be a weird game. I'm gonna stick with Missouri. I'm gonna stick with
I'm
SEC.
gonna stick with Missouri.
Yeah.
If Brady Cook plays,
Yeah,
you have to go with the better quarterback in the bowl games.
I agree.
Oh,
Well, we're gonna know tomorrow. It's tomorrow at 2:30 my time. So
all right,
we'll
all
see.
right.
Next game we got. Excited for this one, the Gorilla Quest Bowl over in Tampa, I believe. Alabama versus Michigan. Alabama really favored in this game. Listen, I'm gonna go with Bama in this game. I think it's a very even game as well. Two very physical football teams that can beat some people, but also lose to anybody. I like Alabama mainly because Jalen Milroe is playing, and also too, I do believe that he can rush the ball. If he can't rush the ball in this game, Alabama's losing. That's on all three of their losses. They have. I think in all three of the losses, Jalen Milroe was under 35, 40 rushing yards. If you can get above that 40-yard rush mark, they'll win this game pretty easily. But I don't know, man. I mean, I'm going Bama, another SEC school.
I'm gonna go Bama too. Wouldn't surprise me if Michigan pulled the upset in this one though.
Mm-hmm.
Milroe, in these bowl games, it's kind of like, well, is Milroe going to the NFL? Is he coming back? I mean, who knows? And the reality is, the bowl games are the games where you want the quarterback to showcase their throwing ability. And
Right.
if he tries to do that, I think Michigan will end up intercepting, and then like they got the ball at the 2 yard line. So I'm gonna go Bama because I'm gonna pick them. But remember, these two teams play. I went to the Rose Bowl last year. I went to 2 bowl games last. I went no 3 bowl games last year. I was at the Rose Bowl last year when this game happened, and Jalen Milroe, you didn't get the 4th down or 3rd down that you should have got to keep the drive alive to keep Michigan off the field. And then what happened? You lost. Redemption.
There you go. I hope so, man. But you're right. They do like to, throw the ball a lot. So Jalen Monroe can't really do that well. Next one we have the Tony the Tiger. Yes, sir. Sun Bowl. We got Louisville versus Washington. I'm picking Louisville in this game. I don't like this Washington team at all. I mean, they're not a bad team, but they're really not great. They're not consistent at all. Obviously our boy, what's his name? Is it Jed? Jed? I don't know. I can't. Let me look up his name. I think he's a Florida alumni, which is pretty cool. Did really well at Arizona, obviously, and got the job at Washington. I really wanted him as a head coaching candidate. But yeah, they've had an off year this year. Yeah, Jed Fish. I don't really blame him though, just because of what he was left with. A lot of people left after Penix left. It all fell apart when the coach went to Alabama. But I'm picking Louisville. I think this is a pretty easy pick in my opinion. Louisville's been pretty physical.
So this was one of those games where I kind of like immediately went to my picks and switched all ACC picks because the ACC is absolute trash. But then I got to this game and I was like, mother effer.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, Washington, give me one, just give me one reason to stay here. Remember that song?
Yeah.
And I was just like, I can't turn right back around, baby. Louisville all the way.
There you go. There you go. Good pick. Good pick. Next one we have South. This is the Cheez-It Citrus Bowl. Went to this one a few years back as well. We got South Carolina versus Illinois. Gonna be a really good game here. Might go to this one on Tuesday on New Year's Eve. Look, South Carolina, a team in my opinion that should have been in the playoff. They're a good football team. This is a playoff team. They're aggressive. They're physical. They want to win. I think they really want to prove to everyone the team that they are. Sellers goes off in this game. I do like Illinois. They're a good football team. Brent, what's his last name? God, I never say it right. Head coach for Illinois. God, old Arkansas head coach. Brett Bielema. There you go.
Bielema.
Yeah, Bielema. Head coach for Illinois. Did a really good job there. But yeah, South Carolina, SEC all the way. Let's go Gamecocks.
Yeah, South Carolina, I think, is definitely the better team here. They're playoff caliber level team, but Illinois is 9-3, so maybe we'll get a game. But dude, we gotta change. No one likes Cheez-It. I mean, I guess people do like Cheez-It. No one likes Cheez-It. Everyone likes Chipotle. Change it to the Chipotle Bowl, and everyone will start watching. You can make your own bowl at halftime. This is like the lady on Instagram. You can do it. We need to change this game to the Chipotle Bowl, and 1,000% more viewers from that standpoint. But who's the mascot? That's the thing.
That lady. The lady that just wants the guac, the lady that throws it at her. Yeah, one of my favorite videos, dude. That was so funny. I love Chipotle. We were talking about this on iMessage, man. Make it the Chipotle Bowl. Listen, I do love my Cheez-It homies, okay? We love the cheese. Great commercial. Classic, right? Very iconic for college football. Make it the Chipotle Citrus Bowl. I totally agree. Gamecocks all the way. Let's get it done. Beamer ball, baby. Next one we have the Kinder's Texas Bowl. We got Baylor versus LSU. It's in Texas. Baylor, obviously, in its home state. 85% of people have picked LSU in this game. I honestly, man, this is a toss up for me. I really don't know. I like this Baylor team. They've had some good wins this season, but they've also looked really rough at times. Old LSU defensive coordinator is the coach for Baylor. Does Brian Kelly, did they finish strong? I can see this being an 8-5 LSU team. I'm picking LSU. I'm sticking with the SEC momentum I have right now. I do not like it, though. I could see Baylor getting this win.
Brian Kelly, for the love of God, do something positive, okay? Do something with yourself, okay? The Baylor coach. Wait, what's the guy's name?
um, the bald guy, Dave
Yeah,
Aranda.
Dave Aranda. If you lose to Dave Aranda, people thought he should have been the coach. It's over. It's over. I'm gonna go LSU. Nussmeier has said he's coming back, so he's gonna play. You got to go with the better quarterback. LSU should win this game. You're in Texas. Well, Baylor's in Texas, but LSU's got more fans. LSU gets it done.
Here's the thing. They beat TCU, which looked really good. They beat TCU by 3 points. They uh only lose to BYU by not even a touchdout. So Baylor's
Oh
a
God. Oh
feisty
God.
little team, man.
Don't tell me that.
This is
Don't
gonna
tell me
be.
that.
I'm sticking with LSU with you. If it was a spread, then that's different. This is just a pick 'em though. I'm gonna go with LSU, but this is gonna be a sneaky good bowl game. I think the Kinder's Texas Bowl on
Yeah.
New Year's Eve. Next one we have. All right. Well, sorry, we're gonna skip the playoff games. We're gonna jump to the next bowl game that we have on the 2nd of January. The Tax Slayer Gator Bowl. This is what we should have been in instead of Ole Miss. But we have Duke versus Ole Miss. I have Ole Miss winning this game. They're the better team. Ole Miss is dirty. They could lose this game. Ole Miss could definitely lose this football game. Because I think it's weird. I want to know their game plan and like their game prep because there's games where they look dominant and then games they look like garbage. They're a really weird team. Ole Miss is. I have Ole Miss beating Duke, but Duke's a good little football team, man. It would not surprise me if Duke wins this game, but I got Ole Miss. Oh, you're muted, EJ.
Oh,
There you
sorry
go.
about that.
Now you're good,
Sorry.
brother.
I just turned on our basketball game.
There you go.
My thing is about this game is everyone in Ole Miss playing? Like, are all the defensive linemen playing? Is everyone playing? Because if the first team Ole Miss plays in this game, I think they absolutely destroy Duke. Okay. Is the Duke quarterback even playing in this game? Because they got the other guy.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah.
You're right. He's not. I don't think he is.
Yeah. So even if he did and Ole Miss has their guys, this will be like the Miami game when Duke played Miami, except you can't score on them because Ole Miss is going to completely stop you. So this game, I'd bet the house on Ole Miss in this game, but it's kind of like, well, who the hell's playing? Who the hell's Jackson Dart? Are you playing? Jackson Dart put on Instagram that he one last ride, one last ride. Well, okay, one last ride. Does that mean the first half, or does that mean the whole game? You never know with these guys. So give me Ole Miss. Lane Kiffin's been talking a lot of trash. Ole Miss, big,
There
baby,
you go.
big.
There you go. Good pick. Next one we have North Texas and Texas State in the Serve Pro First Responder Bowl. I have Texas State winning this game based on the fact that they almost beat Arizona State earlier on in the year.
Yeah, I got to go Texas State as well. But since I'm a band nerd, I have to give a shout out. North Texas has a great band. They have a great music program. If anyone wants to learn some music and you're out in Texas, go to North Texas. But if you're trying to win this First Responder Bowl, Texas State, baby, Bobcats, get
There
it
you
done.
go. Good pick. Next one we have.
And real quick,
Yep.
someone ever asked you name 5 teams with a mascot that doesn't end in S? You know that one of them is going to be North Texas Mean Green.
There
Okay.
you go.
Somebody asked me this when I was the Florida Tulane game. We were just at a bar. The guy was drunk. And he's like, "Can you name 5 teams that don't end in S?" And I'm like, "Okay, dude, you've had too many. Maybe one more to go over the edge." And Tulane was one of them. So I was like trying to figure out who they were, and North Texas was ended up being one of them. So
and
can you
then
pick
and then Notre Dame Fighting Irish,
Notre Dame fighting out? Can you pick one more? Can you pick one more?
Crimson Tide.
Oh, I was about to say, yeah, Crimson Tide. And I think there's like two more. And I was just like, yeah, I've had too many, dude. Uh,
Yeah, no, literally, dude. That's
but it's a good game, right? We'll have to do a trivia like in live chat.
yeah. We should do like a college football trivia. I think that'd be fun. Let's definitely do that because we're gonna eventually do lives. I think that'd be pretty cool. We'll get
Yeah,
to
that'd
that.
be great.
Next one we have the Duke's Mayo Bowl, one of my favorite bowls because the head coach gets mayo dumped on him instead of a Gatorade bath. It's a mayo bath. South Carolina won this last year. Minnesota versus Virginia Tech. I like Virginia Tech a lot. A team that people thought were gonna win is where they were gonna win the ACC and go to the playoff this year, preseason, but that didn't end up happening. I like Minnesota though a lot, dude. I love this football team. They have a lot of young guys on this team. They are, in my opinion, a dark horse for the Big Ten next year, a team to look at. I like Minnesota.
PJ Fleck, baby. Give me a vest and a tie and a I don't know what his saying is. I think it's like it's not brick by brick. He's got another saying.
Yeah, something else.
Yeah. But give me that guy 100 days out of the week. I really like Minnesota in this one. Even though Virginia Tech, they tend to steal all our players and we get players from them.
Yeah,
Uh, one of our linebackers went over there and he started tearing it up or whatever. So maybe he gets a sack. Minnesota gets it done.
good pick. Next one, we got Buffalo versus Liberty. I had Liberty picked. The Liberty quarterback does transfer, so I'm gonna go Buffalo. I don't think he picked a school though. So is he playing in this game? Dude. I don't even know anymore. This year's so weird. Um, the one thing I'm looking at right now is this says Liberty is 8-3, so they didn't have a game played. That's interesting. Don't understand that. But Buffalo, I'm picking them to win because they have their players, and I don't think Liberty will have their quarterback, which the offense runs through him.
Yeah, so Liberty, I remember the I remember what happened. So there's the hurricane that was coming. I thought it was coming to Tallahassee, and I was like, get the hell out, and nobody left because it's Florida. You don't leave when the hurricane comes. And so the reality is it went up to the Appalachian Mountains and it like flooded everyone. And hopefully everyone's okay. I donated. But the Appalachian State, Louisiana, no, Liberty football game was supposed to be that weekend, and so they canceled it because the stadium
Oh,
was flooded. Uh, so that's why Liberty only played 11 games.
gotcha.
I'm gonna go Buffalo in this one. I probably should pick Liberty, but that's back when you had Hugh Freeze. He's not there anymore, people, and he was like on a stretcher. So I'm going with Buffalo. Buffalo Bills? No, the Buffalo
Bulls,
Bulls.
baby. Yes,
Yes.
sir. Yes, sir. Uh, yeah, it's crazy because we're going against the majority here, EJ. On the Bowl Mania site, 24% has gone with Buffalo. We're gonna be part of that 24%. So gonna be interesting. See what happens there. So those are our bowl picks for this bowl week. Now let's go ahead and dive into the first round of the college football, or not first round, sorry, the quarterfinals of the college football playoff. We have some absolute great matchups coming up, some better ones than last week. First one, New Year's Eve, 7:30 p.m. Penn State goes to Idaho to play Boise State at home. All right, let's go to here, EJ. I'm gonna let you predict this one first. Penn State or Boise State? Oh, sorry, we're gonna include spreads, by the way. So Penn State, is favored by 11.5. So let's hear what you got,
Oh,
EJ.
wow. Well, so this game is so these are bowl games now. So I think they're gonna so this one's the Fiesta Bowl. So I don't think it's going to
Yep.
be at Boise.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, got you.
Yeah.
Okay.
So these are neutral games. And that's one thing I hate about it too, because it gets people confused. Like, why can't this one be on a, in a home field?
Yeah,
Like
I thought it
you're a
was.
top
Yeah, that's crazy.
you're a top 4 seed and you don't get to play on your home field. It's kind of crazy. Anyway, I gotta go Penn State. Listen, Boise, you had a great run. Ashton Jeanty's running over people in the Mountain West. Guess what? Big Ten, big boy football, hog mollies in the middle. James Franklin does not lose to teams that he's got more talent than. Drew Aller. And I always ask myself when you're picking a game, and everyone should ask this, who's got the better quarterback? Who's got the better defense? If the same team has both, you should probably pick that team. You should probably pick that. Penn State. And wait, what was the spread?
11 and a half.
Okay.
Oh, that's great.
Dude, Vegas, why do you do this to me?
Terrible.
You make these spreads because you know no one knows what's going to happen. So here's the reality. I'm going to go Penn State to cover. No,
Mm,
no. Give me Boise. Just give
okay.
me Boise. Every time you're in the Fiesta Bowl, the ball bounces off a goalpost or something and it goes into somebody's hand and it's a kick six. But it's not going to be enough. Penn State to win, Boise to cover.
Can we talk about how it should go back to being the Tostitos? Like, let's bring back Tostitos. No one wants to see Verbo, dude. Insane.
We want Tostitos.
We want Tostitos.
But with lime. But with
it,
lime.
there you go. Uh, yeah, I'm with you, man. I think Penn State wins this game. We talked about this, EJ. I have been so high on Penn State since that Big Ten game against Oregon, that Big Ten championship, man. I've been so critical of them the past few years, ever since James Franklin's been there, on not playing well in big games. I've talked about how they're overrated. They're overrated every single year. Michigan and Ohio State are always better than them. And then they played that game against Oregon, and I was like, damn, like they actually could have won that football game. This is a team, in my opinion, that can win the national championship. Not saying they will, but I do think they win this game. I do think Boise State covers because of Ashton Jeanty. I think he goes off in this game. The Boise State players, I think yesterday, showed up wearing, like for press and everything, the conferences, wearing shirts that said, "Don't count us out." Now listen, when teams usually do that, they get destroyed. Okay, we usually know how that goes.
Yeah, like
But
Tennessee with the shirts off and
yeah,
in Columbus. Right.
right, exactly. But I do think they're going to come out here with Ashton Jeanty. You can't count him out. I'm curious to see him against a big front. He did play well against Oregon's front when he played them, but Penn State's on a whole nother level. You're not going to see many front fours and front sevens like this. I do think he's going to have a few big runs, though, that lead to scores. I do think it's going to be a very weird low-score game, maybe like 24-14, something like that. And I do think Penn State wins, but doesn't cover 11.5. So I'm going Boise State as well. Next game, yep, we'll see what happens. It's going to be interesting. Next one, we have the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. Texas versus Arizona State. It's so weird that it's being played over here when both these teams are over there. This game, another one that people think it's going to be a blowout. We'll see. 81% has picked Texas. Texas is favored by 12.5. That is insane for a quarterfinal playoff game, which shows that the system's an absolute joke right now. EJ, let's hear it, man.
Well, first of all, it's absolute trash that Texas has to play Arizona State where Oregon has to play Ohio State.
Mm-hmm.
Like, even though we like the Big 12 is good, but why the hell does the number 3 seed have the lower rated team in the first semi? Committee, you're trash. Anyway, back to this game. Scataboo. Let me tell you something. maybe you can run that ball. Clemson was running that ball and they made a comeback. But here's the thing. I don't think Arizona State has enough defense. I do think that they played really well against Iowa State, but that's a game where when you can get downhill, and you saw Iowa State doesn't really have a great defense. When you can go downhill in Iowa State and force them to get out of their playbook, you can start to blow them out a little bit. And that's what Arizona State did. I don't think you can do that against Texas. Texas is always in the game because of their passing ability. I'm going to go Texas in this game. What's the spread?
12 and a half.
Dang,
It's a rough number.
it's a rough number. Uh give me Texas to cover in this one. I'm not very confident at all. At all. Hmm. I can definitely see this being like a 35-24 final score, and then you get screwed.
With like a late score by Arizona State. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, okay, screw that. Arizona State, give me Arizona State to cover because I think Scataboo. People are going to learn this guy's name. People are going to learn how to say Scataboo. He's going to run wild. Texas, you thought you had a great defense. You still do, but not as much. Ewers wins it. You win by 10. Arizona State covers.
So I don't feel comfortable about this game at all either, EJ, mainly for the main reason, not a Scataboo really, but because of Quinn Ewers, a guy who he is just so inconsistent as a quarterback, it's not even funny. There's games that he plays where he's really good. There's games that he plays where he's absolute garbage. And he played well. He played well in the previous game, obviously, against Clemson. But my biggest issue is when Texas can run the ball consistently, Quinn Ewers plays okay because the pressure's off of his shoulders. The holes open up, in the zones, and he just feels more comfortable. And also the pass rush kind of goes down, right, when you're able to run the ball consistently. When you can't run the ball, Quinn Ewers looks like a second string quarterback out there. He just does not look good. He looks like an Aiden Warner. And that's that. I can't trust Quinn Ewers to play consistent throughout this playoff at all. It is Arizona State. I mean, you look at the talent difference between these two teams, massive.
Massive.
Massive, and that's even more prominent in postseason games because after the whole season. I have Arizona State covering this 12.5, mainly because I can't see Quinn Ewers playing super well consistently in the play. I really can't, man. And I don't think Sark is someone who has shown that if Quinn Ewers plays bad, he puts in Manning, and I think Manning's a better quarterback. I think he has more capabilities and he could do stuff with his legs to get the run game going that Quinn Ewers cannot do. Quinn Ewers is a statue back there half the time. I have Arizona State covering, but Texas winning this football game. So good pick.
Great pick.
Good pick there. Next game, I think it's gonna be playoff game of the week at 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Weird time for us. We have the Rose Bowl. Ohio State versus Oregon. A rematch of a 1-point win by Oregon in the regular season game. EJ, how you feeling, man? Rose Bowl, your home state. Let's hear it.
Man.
Oh, by the way, Ohio State favored by 2.5.
Okay. So Logan, you gotta make it to have you been to a Rose Bowl?
I have not.
Okay, dude. We gotta go to a Rose Bowl at some point.
Got to.
It's like I've never been. So last year, my friend he's a Michigan alum. So we were like, I was born in Alabama. Let's go. It was great. Now the stadium, just so everyone knows, not the fanciest stadium. They need to do some upgrades, but I can see why they haven't done the upgrades because it's like a winding hill that you got to go to get to the Rose Bowl. And I'm like, you can't even get the renovation people up this hill. How are you going to fix this stadium? The bathrooms you have to wait in line. And then the concession stands are weird. But anyway, it's like a giant high school stadium with 100,000 bleachers. It's a good stadium. It's a great environment. You see the mountains. It's a beautiful venue. But anyway, I'm going to go in this game with Ohio State to win outright and cover. I know
Woo.
everybody likes Oregon. I like Oregon too. Hell, I, they're probably national champ caliber team, undefeated. But here's the reality: Ryan Day, your job's on the line. Okay, which is crazy to me because you beat everyone except Michigan. Oregon, you're not Michigan. So that's number one. Number two, you played Ohio State on your home field and you needed a miracle. You needed to rig the rules to win. That rule got changed. You can't have 12 men on the field anymore. Will Howard is throwing the ball like precision archery out here. But that was against Tennessee. Oregon's probably a little better. I don't see how this game even is allowed to happen in the quarterfinal. It's absolute trash and a travesty. This should be at worst a semifinal game, probably the national championship game. I gotta go Ohio State because I just have a feel. I got a feeling Ohio State gets it done.
Not so fast. Not so fast. I have the Oregon Ducks winning and covering. Listen, man, I here's what I got. Can Ohio State, Will Howard, Chip Kelly, can they all be can they have two great games in a row? That's the question I want to ask. We haven't seen them have two great games in a row this whole season, right? Can they do that? Is Chip Kelly going to call the game that he called you know, in the previous game, or is he going to call the game that he called against Michigan? Right, like this is what I'm talking about. Is Will Howard going to play like he played against the last game they played, or is he going to play like he played against Michigan? I don't know. That's the thing. I genuinely have no idea. Um, I Oregon has shown me that they beat a Penn State team that played phenomenal football in the Big Ten championship. And did a great job of controlling the game for the majority of that game. Because of that, I'm going Oregon. But I listen, it would not this Ohio State team, if they played like they did last week, 2 weeks ago, they can win the national championship, and they probably will. But I don't see them playing consistently like that. Will Howard has not been able to, and Chip Kelly has not been able to call plays consistently like he did a couple weeks ago. So I'm going Oregon. I think those are my national champions. I got to pick them. I think they win. I think they cover. I got Oregon winning the Rose Bowl. And I think it's one of those games, kind of like how it was last year with Washington and Oregon, where Washington they just keep beating Oregon. Oregon cannot get over that hump. I think that's going to be Ohio State this year, where they can just not beat the Oregon Ducks. I have Oregon winning.
Good
Next
pick.
one. Yeah, well, we'll see. That's going to be one of my favorite bowl games to watch. It's going to be interesting. My
Oh, we
second
definitely
favorite bowl
gotta watch
game.
that.
Oh, got to. Second favorite bowl game. You have the All-State Sugar Bowl, one of my favorite bowl games anyway. This is one of my most nostalgic games I've watched. Notre Dame versus the Georgia Bulldogs.
Woo!
This game is going to be insane. Georgia favored by 1.5. You cannot have a lower spread than that. Georgia doesn't have their starting quarterback. EJ, let's hear it.
Everybody, college football world. Georgia versus Notre Dame. Here's the reality. I really like Notre Dame. I think this is a really great team. I like the gold. But here's the reality. Georgia. Notre Dame's going to put up a fight. Wait, who's the starting quarterback for Georgia? What's the guy's name?
Let me look it up. I got you.
I was gonna say Stetson Bennett because that's who he reminds me of. He looks exactly like him. Um, wait, who's the guy? Who's the guys? Uh, This is embarrassing. Sorry, everybody. We probably should know who this guy is.
Gunnar
Um,
Stockton, right?
okay, yes, Gunnar Stockton. He came in against
Texas.
Texas, led him to victory. Well, actually, what's a majigger hand the ball off. But here's the deal: Georgia football is not quarterback centric. That is what people need to understand. Kirby Smart built his team very similar to those original Alabama teams where it doesn't rely on the quarterback. In fact, the more it relies on the quarterback, the worse the team is. So you got to go back to those Alabama teams with uh who is the one guy? He's like an ESPN commentator right now, Greg McElroy,
Greg, yeah,
where you don't even remember the guy's name.
garbage.
That's how Georgia is going to play this game. We don't need a quarterback. We just need a guy that can catch the snap and throw it on third down when we need a 7 yards. We are going to hand the ball off. We're going to go We're going to go old school Georgia. Run the ball, play action pass. Every time you pass it, Notre Dame's going to be like, well, where are they going with the ball? No film on Stockton other than that second half. Georgia's been practicing this whole they didn't practice for Georgia Tech. So they're practicing probably for this game. Let me tell you something. I think Georgia is gonna win this game, and I think they're gonna cover. Give me Gunnar Stockton. I don't think he's related to John Stockton, but he's gonna come up with some assists in this game. Kirby Smart defense. Finally, we're gonna see some defense from Georgia against an offense. To beat Georgia, people, to beat Georgia, you got to be able to throw the ball deep and accurate. Notre Dame is not that team. Notre Dame can line up and run at you with the quarterback and be physical. That ain't going to work on Georgia, people. Georgia's going to be standing. Where do you think you're going, buddy? Instant tackle, no gain. Georgia, steamroll, Bulldogs.
Gunnar Stockton throws for 75 yards in the SEC championship game, and everyone thinks this guy is a god. He's not. He's not. And you're going to see that in this game. I think Notre Dame defense is going to show up. You got Marcus Freeman, one of the best defensive minds, going against Kirby Smart, another one of the best defensive minds in college football. This is going to be a defensive game. I'm talking 10-7. Riley Leonard, a guy that when he goes against good defenses, he struggles. We've seen that throughout his entire career, especially at Notre Dame and this season. It's really going to rely on Riley Leonard. This game is on his shoulders. We know that Georgia, let's say this, EJ. Gunnar Stockton plays his best possible game. Georgia scores maybe 24 points, right? Let's say that, 24, 27 points. That's kind of what I'm thinking if he plays his best possible game. Question is can Riley Leonard play a good, consistent game? We haven't really seen that a lot this season. He's gained momentum in the second half of the year, though. But this Notre Dame hasn't faced a team like this Georgia team, man. Texas A&M is the closest that they have. And Riley Leonard looked a little rough in that game. And they lose to NIU the week next. So I think Notre Dame, listen, I can't trust this Georgia quarterback. I do agree, like you were talking about. All you need is kind of a game manager back there at quarterback, like what Alabama did with Greg McElroy, because they had some great pieces on the outside, like Julio Jones, right? But Greg McElroy was also a senior. He was also a guy who has been in that system for 5 years, right? 4 years leading up to that point. Gunnar Stockton is, I believe, either a true freshman or a redshirt freshman. This guy doesn't know what's going on. These lights are going to be too bright. He's going to step outside and be like, what the hell is going on? He's going to hear the Notre Dame fans. They're going to be saying stuff at him he's never heard before. He ain't ready for this. I have Notre Dame winning this game. I have them covering. And I think it's, like I said, it would not surprise me if this is a 13 to 10 game, right? It's going to be a low-scoring game, but it's going to be gritty. It's going to be exciting. And I think it's going to be a win for the Fighting Irish.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay, so we got So we got two games that are different.
We
Okay,
have
okay,
we have two
okay.
playoff games that are different, and one bowl game, which is the I believe the Baylor. Is it the Baylor? No, it's the Louisville and Washington game. So, oh wait, no, it's not even that one
Wait, no,
either.
I picked Louisville. I
Yeah, I
picked
thought I
Louisville.
thought there was one bowl game. I guess not. I guess not. So it's the two playoff games that we have different, which are huge games, dude. Because it's gonna destroy my bracket. It's gonna if those go against me, my bracket's done, man. If I have Oregon winning the Natty, I'll be screwed. So we'll see. It's gonna be very fun to see what happens there. But there you go. The playoff games. Those are our predictions on it. We'll see what happens. Going to be exciting these next few days. And next week, I'm sure will be pretty fun to come back to and to talk about. Um, all right. One other thing, because the Gator basketball game is on. I know EJ's wanting to watch it. I just wanted to touch on this a little bit. Obviously, college football is in a pretty bad state right now. The NCAA has no control over the programs. They don't have no control over the players. They don't know what's happening. So I wanted to talk about something that a lot of people ask. Oh, well, then what does college football need to do? And how do we fix it? I have three different things I want to touch on and just kind of go through these. And EJ, I'm gonna go first. I'm gonna hit these notes. Anytime you want to stop me, let me know if you want to expand on anything. I'm just gonna dive through it. I want to start off first with NIL, name, image, likeness, something that has gotten so out of control. I think the Supreme Court just passed something where now the colleges can pay the players directly from the colleges, or I think it might have just been Florida schools. I can't remember what. That's insane. Which is kind of what they were doing anyway, but now it's just like they can explicitly do it. Um, that's insane. Look, I know I'm a minority on what I'm about to say, but I'm gonna stick with it. NIL should be what it was originally supposed to be, and that's hey, if you're a quarterback and you're the star quarterback, you can sell merchandise, and that's how you make your money. You should not be able to get paid $4 million, $1 million straight out of high school. That is insane to me. Jack Pyburn asking for $35,000 a month, insane. Teachers get paid that in a year. It's just an absolute joke, and they're like, oh well, the NCAA's marketing off these people, and they're making all this money. Well, in my opinion, a college kid's already getting the benefit of getting free education, right? And then now, if they're good enough, now they have an incentive to want to play better, right? The better you play, the more sales you're going to be able to get out. Now, if you're a high school quarterback, Arch Manning, for example, you're a backup getting paid like $2.4 million a year. What incentive do you have to be better? You're already getting paid 2.4 to sit on the bench, and you're as a lot of that's guaranteed money. So that's what I don't understand. I think there needs to be a fight to get better, a fight to improve each day. And that's why I'm not a big fan of the NIL where it's at right now. Are we ever going to get back to that point? Nope, we're not going to. So then what's my fix for the NIL system? Have a limit. You got to go full NFL pro, professional football style where each team has to have a cap limit on their team. I don't know how you do that because I don't think that the Georgia Bulldogs should have the same cap as like North Texas. So I think it should go by, I don't know what you would go by. Maybe the amount of, I don't want to say the amount of students at a school because then Duke would get a lot. I don't know. I don't know how you go about it. Maybe by conference might be the best way to go about it. But then you're going to have conference bias. So I don't know how you do it, but there needs to be a cap on these schools for how much they can spend for their whole roster, in my opinion, like the NFL does with its salary cap. EJ, anything you want to speak on the NIL?
I think you're like 100% on the right track. So like in Major League Baseball, which we love Major League Baseball, we're Padres fans.
There you go.
Anyway, there's something called the luxury tax in in Major League Baseball, and it exists so that there's a balance, an equity balance across all the teams for teams who want to overspend to get the best players, right? So there's they give everyone a salary cap and they say, okay, everyone has a maximum cap you can pay your players. That's the first layer. If a team goes over that limit, you then have to pay a tax, which then goes back to the other teams in the MLB who didn't go over the limit, and they can reinvest to upgrade whatever they need to do to potentially get better players. So you can go over the limit, but there's a penalty. And I think with NIL, since it's wild, wild west, no one knows who the hell's where, how much this guy's getting paid. There needs to be an NCAA regulation that says, here's the NIL cap, because there becomes unfair advantages where teams like Ole Miss can just, and Auburn can just turn around and they're worst defense in the league. And now they're the best defense in the league because they went and tampered, got all these defensive linemen from Texas A&M, took our best D tackle or D end, and now they're great. So there needs to be some kind of cap on NIL. I don't think we should get rid of NIL because NIL was the original. That's what people wanted. People wanted to get paid. My thing is the transfer portal. That is what we need to severely start to regulate, because the transfer portal is what creates the NIL inequity. Because now, if since you can basically be an unrestricted free agent every year, now other teams can say, "Oh, Logan, come over here. Come to our team. We'll pay you 3 times more." And it's kind of like, you shouldn't be able to do that. You should be able to obviously have money to pay the players on your roster, not to lure other players from other teams. That's not the spirit of college football. So I think you keep NIL, you institute a salary tax, like a luxury tax, where that money that you went over goes back to the lower teams so that they can offer, but you also severely regulate the transfer portal so that you can't just transfer out. You can't transfer out to get paid more money. The point of it was, you college football players weren't getting paid at all. Now they are, but now they're in the portal every 5 minutes so they can get more, 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 more. Get rid of that. We're paying them now, so the problem is solved. The problem is solved. And those are, well, don't be mad at him. He's getting his bag. No, fool. 10 years ago, they weren't getting anything. Now they're already getting $500,000. So now they're leaving to get $1 million. No, that is not the spirit of college football. It's absolute trash. The people that are running college football are trash. But here's the reality. We were talking about this earlier. They're doing it because this chaos creates what's called, I forgot there's a name in economics, but it's when there's unpredictability in a market where there's unlimited earnings potential. And the NCAA sees, well, wait a minute, with there's chaos, there's more parity, there's unpredictability. It can lead to more exciting games, more storylines. People are watching, people want to know what's happening. And until we get to a point to where there's no one cares anymore, that's when it starts to be capped. But people are apparently they're making a lot of money, which is why the system is what it is. And I think it's absolute trash. And it creates a situation like what you had at FSU, where you spent millions of dollars getting all these players in the transfer portal. And guess what happens? They don't give a rat's ass about your team. They don't care about FSU. It used to be back in the Bobby Bowden days. I was raised in Tallahassee. These kids, they bled garnet and gold. They wanted to go and give everything to Florida State. Now you got guys, oh, well, I got $1 million. I don't give a rat's ass about Georgia Tech. I'm over here in Ireland. Okay. I could care less. Oh, was that a leprechaun? I don't even care, because you know why? You just gave me $1 million to sit on my ass and do nothing. I don't care. There's no stipulations. Like, do I actually need to perform? Do I actually need to tackle someone? No. I just give you $1 million. I busted my ass to get you out of the portal. Now you're here. You don't even tackle anyone, and I still have to pay you $1 million. It is absolute trash. But you know what? That's what people wanted, and that's why coaches are quitting every 5 minutes. I know that was a long story to say. Cap NIL with the luxury tax, and then with a salary cap, and then penalize teams who go over with a luxury tax. Then get rid of don't get rid of the transfer portal, but make it so that you have to get an appeal to transfer. And if you hop in the portal, you have to sit out an entire year. You can't,
I
we
had the same
have to
thing.
get rid of the transfer portal. It is the reason we're in this mess.
Yep. Yep. Well, the worst part of it is the fact that the transfer portal and the NIL hit at almost the exact same time. Like that's
Yeah.
the problem. It's hard to identify what problems with what. But I agree, man, with the whole NIL thing and with the portal thing. I have that right here. You when you transfer somewhere, you have to sit out a year. You have to, and then you play there that next year. You cannot sit out a year and then be like, okay, I don't want to be here anymore and go somewhere else. You have to stay there. You could also do it to where you can only transfer one time if you really want. You know what I mean? Say, hey, if you commit to this school, you're there. You can only enter the transfer portal one time in your career. And I know it's harsh, but we gotta. There's got to be a certain level of commitment that is now enforced, right? Another thing you could do, even EJ, is say, hey, coming out of high school, 3-year contract with us in this school. You got to stay with us for 3 years. This is the guaranteed money. This is the bonuses, literally an NFL style. After this, you can enter the transfer portal, right? There needs to be some kind of system right there.
With buyouts, maybe. With buyouts.
With buyouts, with contracts. So then they, like you were, exactly. So they can't just be like, okay, I'm going to enter the transfer portal. There has to be consequences for that action, basically. There's no consequences right now. So tell me right now how everything in life, there's always consequences for every decision you make. But if you enter the transfer portal, there's no consequence? What's that about, huh? What's that teaching these kids? Nothing. It's terrible for the brand. It's terrible for college football, terrible for organizations. And that's why it's so messy right now. But yeah, I or even make it to where once you transfer somewhere, you have to stay there for 2 years, right? Something to an incentive to make them stay. So, and then yeah, I agree as well. Like you were talking about an appeal, or remember back in the day, not even long ago, like 6 years ago, where if you entered the transfer portal, you had to get approved each individual player. And there was sometimes, remember with the one guy, Luke Deal or whatever his name was, that he tried to transfer and play somewhere. And he transferred because of his like grandpa that was dying or whatever, and he didn't get approved. But all these other players are getting approved. It was something terrible. His grandpa died. He never got to see him play. It's terrible. And so it's like you have situations like but there needs to be a system like that again, where it's hard to get approved. And I think that situation was a big reason why they're like, yeah, everyone should be able to transfer. Because the NCAA was like, okay, you guys are mad at our decisions. All right, bet. We'll just let them do whatever. So they just retaliated and just opened the floodgates, which is the worst possible thing you can do. But if I'm the commissioner of college football and I could do whatever I want, what I'm doing is exactly what I said. Once you transfer to a school, you got to stay there for at least 2 years. You sit out the first year, you play the next year, and you can still have the normal 4 to 5 year eligibility as you normally would, but that right there only makes you go to 2 schools at max. Because we were making jokes, me and EJ, we were sending stuff to each other talking about like some of these portal guys that have been to a new school every single year. And you think it's a joke and that we're over exaggerating, but there's guys that have literally been to a new school every single year of their career, which is just like, it's just sad. Like, I got no respect for you or your career at that point. It's just like, come on, what are you even doing, man? Taking advantage of something that people actually use to get better and to improve, and you're just obviously, at that point, you're bad. You're just a bad player. Like, if you have to go to 4 different schools, you're not good, dude. So stop. So anyways, that's what I would do for the transfer portal.
I love that idea, though, of saying you got to be somewhere for 2 years. High school recruiting is just not even that solid anymore, because we recruit half these, like TJ Searcy, great player. I think I was like, oh yeah, he's going to be good next year. I'm in the portal. And I'm like, well, why the hell is he in the portal? So it's kind of like, you know, Jack Pyburn, make me play every down or I'm going in the portal. And I'm kind of like, well, I thought he was a Gator. maybe he's got his fill. I don't know. But if you make it where you there's some sort of buyout, which is hard because these contracts are with third party. They're not with the universities. They're not between the universities. So you can't institute something like a buyout. But maybe you should. And maybe you could. You could say, "Hey, if you're an NCAA football player and you enter the transfer portal to go to another team, there's a buyout to the university that you're playing at of whatever that is, $250,000." I actually like that because it's you can go in the portal, you can go in the portal, then you don't have to get rid of the portal. You can say you can go in the portal, but you got to pay the team that you're leaving $250,000 for pain and freaking suffering of now having, well, hell, I brought you in, I put you through our strength and conditioning program, I busted my ass to coach you up. We were going through blood, sweat, and tears as a team. And now you just throwing that all away. And people say, well, coaches leave all the time. No, they don't. 40% of rosters, I forgot, I was trying to do the math. You have 85 scholarship players, and on average, 22 of them are in the portal on every team. What is that? 40% of 40% of your roster is in the freaking portal. So that is too chaotic, and it's pain and suffering. So I invested in you time, energy, money, funding, resources, love, sweat, tears. People are saying, he's like a son to me. Could you imagine if your kids said, Dad, I want to go in the transfer portal. I want a new mom and dad. That's basically what is happening. I want a new mom and dad because you suck. Maybe that should be in Sweet Magnolias. That'll be a great storyline. I'm here for all the drama.
Season 4, watch it. February 6th.
Season 4. Season, you got to watch it.
Got to.
It's insane. So I think you've got to have a buyout to make these kids at least think like business people. There's pros and there's cons. And you hit it right on the dart when you said, and it got me thinking, there is no penalty for that. Like, there's got to be a penalty for you just jumping in the portal, keeping the money that you got at the school that you're at, and now going and getting more. No, that's not how life works.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay off the team that you leave $250,000, and then you can transfer to wherever you're going. And if that means that where you're transferring to has to pay that plus the money, then hey, that's what they got to do. And then they have to come up with the equation to say, yeah, you're not worth $250,000 plus the $500,000. You're not worth it, so you should just stay there. Can we do that, people? Can we make some sensibility here? 40% of our roster is in the portal. I coached like a little league basketball team. I couldn't imagine if half of these players were in the portal and then I had to pull a bunch of guys and then say, okay, do you know how to dribble? I finally teach the people how to dribble, and now they're all gone. Crazy.
Well, yeah. There was something I was going to expand on what you were saying, man. Oh yeah, like another reason why I don't like the contracts, like I kind of threw out there because people are throwing out contracts like NFL, is because like then you would have these programs going crazy, putting crazy amount of money into it, you know what I mean? And then these other programs would just have to keep up with that. So there's no ceiling, right, to go to. I don't know. I'm not a fan of that. I'm not a fan of that at all. You need to keep the brand at a level of importance that college football needs it to, right? And contracts don't allow that. And I think like we were talking about, the best way is, hey, 2 years transfer portal. Do you really want to do this? I don't know, man. We're just at a weird point right now, but I agree with everything you said. We've gone too far into it where none of that's going to happen. It's going to be something else. My guess is the contracts, but we'll see. So that's that. Last thing, I'm going to keep this one short because we've already talked about it, is the playoff. I think this is another big thing that's a major problem right now is like we were talking about the playoff games. The seedings are terrible. The layout is dumb. In my opinion, it needs to be a 6-team computer generated like the BCS that takes into account strength of schedule, very similar to the college basketball seedings that EJ was mentioning last week or 2 weeks ago. The way I would have it is the top 2 teams get a bye, let the bottom 4 battle it out, and then go from there. I think 6-team is perfect. You look outside of the top 6 teams, there's really usually a big drop off in talent acquisition and just overall performance by the team and strength of schedule and the correlation to the record. 8 teams I would be okay with, but I think 6 is perfect. I think that's the way it needs to be. And I think if you just figure out some regulations on all 3 of those things and figure out a way to keep the brand of the Florida Gators, to keep the brand of LSU or Texas A&M, Penn State, whatever, and importance to the players, I think you have college football back again. I think that's what you need to do.
I 100% love your idea about the 6 teams. That's how I would do it. I think what we need to do, get rid of this damn committee. These people, this is what they do. They go to a hotel. I want this job. They go to a hotel every weekend. Oh, we watched the games. You didn't watch a game. If you did, you didn't know what you were looking at. They take the AP poll. Let's take the AP poll. They already did half the work for us. Let's shuffle a bunch of teams up, rearrange them, make it look like we did some work, and that's our playoff rankings. Trash. They need to get rid of them. Move to go back to the BCS formula or use something very similar to college basketball where we have the net rankings, where it's your stats are 50% of it, and the other 50% are your strength of schedule, which is your opponent's winning percentage, opponent's winning percentage. So your performance in the games matters if you have a low strength of schedule. So if you have a trash strength of schedule, but you're blowing people out, you get your 0.5 points. And then if you play a good strength of schedule, but you're close in all the games, you get a lot of, and then they give you the net rankings. And then they say, how many good quality wins against the net rankings do you have? And then that's how you get the college basketball. That's how they select the teams. There's nothing like that in football. In football, it's like, it's all willy-nilly. It's like, well, Indiana, they're 11-1. And hindsight 2020, I'm kind of like, well, Indiana, yeah, they didn't play anyone, but here's the reality. When the season started, you can say that because they played Washington and Michigan. Weren't those teams 14-0 in the national championship just the year before? And they played Ohio State. So to me, they played a good stretch. They didn't play anyone in the non-conference. So Florida State, they looked like a daunting schedule. They were 13-0 ACC champs. Then they were trash. So you can't predict, but you can put together a formula that ranks the teams and says, okay, let's take the top 6, the top 2 get a bye. Everyone knows the formula, so it's equitable. So if my strength of schedule is trash, I better have my starters in because I got to win by 20 points. Like that's how it's got to be.
Mm-hmm.
And then what you have to do. This situation where it's like it's up to the committee and well, SMU, our principal was SMU, they were in the rankings, so we can't drop them. No, they should never been in there. So they had close games against teams that were trash. So you have to do it that way. So to me, I think the conferences are going to say it's trash. We don't want to participate if our champion is not in it. Okay, I get it. You are trash. But the reality is, if that's how they want to do it, just say, okay, we're going to give it to the top 4 conference champions are going to make it. Okay. Who's the Boise State? You're not really in it, but guess what? If you make the top 10, then you get in. And then we do the top 8. And then we actually seed the teams accordingly. And you say, okay, number 1 is the true number 1. Number 8 is the true number 8. And you play it out. If you don't, now, and that's only if you are required to put the conference champions in, which I don't necessarily agree with. I think it should just be whoever the
Yep.
top ranked teams are.
Yep.
But if you can't negotiate that with the conferences, because it doesn't seem like you're going to be able to, because from what I was reading, it was like a hard no, we're not participating if our conference champion isn't in. So I was like, okay, fine. Then do the top 8 and then put the conference champions in. And if you're a conference champion and you're trash, well, you're number 8 seed. So you got to do something like that. But there needs to be a formula, a ranking system like college basketball net rankings, where it makes sense who's ranked where and teams know what they have to do to get their ranking up. Because when you have no idea what you need to do, that's where it becomes chaos. It's kind of like, okay, well, how is SMU ranked up there? How is Indiana ranked up there? Hell, Tennessee.
Yeah.
I said Tennessee. I thought they were going to give them a game, but then when you look at their schedule, they didn't play anyone in the SEC. They beat Alabama and Florida. Those are their 2 best wins in the SEC. They didn't play Missouri. They didn't play Texas. They didn't play South Carolina. They didn't play Texas A&M. They didn't play Ole Miss. They didn't play LSU. They didn't play any of the top teams in the SEC. All 6 of their conference wins were against the worst teams in the SEC. But people were like, well, they won 10 games and they're in the SEC, so they should be in the playoff. They got absolutely destroyed. And had we had a formula that would have indicated Tennessee didn't really play a good strength of schedule, and when you look at their games, they were close games against bad teams. So they weren't going to be ranked high. So we need to institute something like that. I know I've been talking a lot, but if we put that in there, maybe something great happens and we get Ohio State, Oregon in an actual game instead of the quarterfinal, which is trash.
Insane, man. Yeah, it's terrible. I agree with everything you said. Hopefully they figure something out. I sadly just see it expanding. You know why, EJ? Because it doesn't make sense, and they do stuff that doesn't make sense. You make too much sense. That's why they're not going to follow it. So we're at a weird point right now. I'm trying to be optimistic. Hopefully they figure something out. I think good news is they're going to get rid of the automatic bids. I think they're going to 100% get rid of those. That's huge. But we've also gotten to a point where now the conferences have more say than the NCAA, which is a major, major issue right now. And the NCAA's talked about how they can't do stuff because the conferences won't agree with it. It's an absolute joke. We're at a weird point right now. We'll figure it out. We'll get through it like we always do. College football is the best sport in the world, and we'll figure out a way, but definitely rough. There is our ways of fixing college football. We'll see what happens, and all of our predictions and everything. We'll fix it. We're going to get it done. We're going to do a little Bob the Builder. EJ, any last words you want to say to everyone out there, man? I know you got to get to this game.
Yeah, we love all you guys. Like, subscribe, give us some comments. What do you guys want to see in the off season? What kind of, we love college football, so we love talking about the whole sport and, so that we're not totally in a Gator vacuum. But if you guys want to hear more Gator content, more college football content, let us know. Ask us questions. We're thinking about, I was coming up with some ideas of, as we go into next season, we can probably do like some shorts where we can take some clips and put them on Instagram or on YouTube so that, you guys can see what we're talking about and not have to go through the whole episode to get to your favorite part, because some people, even my dad was like, well, there's only like one part I wanted to hear from your whole episode and I had to like find it. So, that's great. Hey, that's great feedback.
Yeah.
And we've got our Warner Safari Gator polos on.
Yes, sir.
Shout out to Warner Safari. You guys are awesome. We love these polos are great. They're so beautiful.
So
they
clean.
feel so great. And this one is the Florida one. I think you've got
Yeah, I got like all the different Gator like logos, and there's so much on this shirt, dude. You got the the 2 bits. Gator crossing, the Gator chomp, everything. It's great.
Yeah, yeah. These are great. So we got more. Hey, sponsors, Warner Safari. Are you trying to sponsor us here?
We
There
need
you
some
go.
kind of sponsor, man. Let's make it happen. Let's make it
Yeah,
happen.
we got to make it happen.
Yes,
So
sir.
yeah, and so I'm gonna go watch the basketball game. Our basketball team, guys, we got a chance here. Our first two games, Kentucky and Tennessee. We're gonna see if we're for real in the first week of the season. Let's see what happens.
Yeah, go Gators beat Stetson. We're up, I think, 52-27 right now. Start of the second half. Love it. Let's keep it going. We love y'all. Stay safe. Have a great time. Have a great New Year, by the way. Hope you guys had a great Christmas. We really didn't talk about that.
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. I hope everyone, we're going to start off the year great, man. It's going to be a great year for all of us. Let's make it happen. Have a great time watching the playoff quarterfinals. And we'll be back here next week, breaking it all down for the semifinals, baby. Let's get it.
Woo!
Love y'all. Stay safe. See you next week.
Peace.